Hello, 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 and welcome to the Bada Show. As I raise my arms triumphantly in the air to welcome you here. I am one of your hosts, Dave, and down there in the bottom square is my buddy and partner in crime, Chris. What is happening with you, amigo?
Oh, I'm glad I can hear you.
Oh, this
Uh,
is always a
our
bonus.
friends don't know that it's been a little touch and go this well, it's not a morning anymore, this afternoon.
Yes.
Um, as it pertains to us being able to hear one another, or me hearing you.
Mm.
But looks like we shook all those we shook all the gravel out, so we're good.
Cross your fingers. You know what I
We might
mean?
only have
Because,
5 minutes of sound. That's
well, technical difficulties. They're just part of live stream culture.
especially when what we use is about to be, what is it, sundowned? Is that what they say?
Yes, as far as our communication, yes, indeed.
Yes. Sunning down Skype.
Yes, Skype will be riding off into the sunset and,
Mm.
yeah, moved over to a different avenue that we will also explore. Um,
They're making sure that we won't miss it.
it's like Action Comics,
Mm,
right? It's like we're just gonna make this book as terrible as humanly
hmm
possible. So when Mark Waid takes over the book, we have a consistent baseline
mm.
of just mediocre, boring. I mean, we're talking garbage-esque books. So you're familiar with the quality we're about to provide, and
There you go.
it's great. I can start the show with such a negative comment to
At
really
least it's
get
about
people up.
comics,
Yeah, that's true. It is about
which is
comics.
different for us. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, if we want to warm up a little bit, talking about real life,
Hmm.
I'm sick.
You are sick. You've
I'm
been
ill.
sick. Yeah.
I have been for a few days now, and
hmm
I just can't. It just won't quit me, and I'm very dosed up on cough medicine.
hmm
Probably enough to sedate a mule. Luckily, I probably have more body mass than said ass, so I can withstand all the chemicals in my system. But really, Chris,
hmm
the thing is despite how sick I truly am, I must press on for the
You got a
Badabinians
bada.
out there.
You
I,
got a bada.
I got a Bada, baby.
hmm
And
hmm
real quick aside here, yesterday I went to work and I felt worse than I did today.
Okay.
And I'm going to throw this out to the audience as well, not just you, Chris, but have you
hmm
ever been a slave to the grind, worked for the man, gone in despite circumstances being so dismal and dire, and a boss? I have multiple bosses, not just one. So they can't pinpoint who I'm talking about. But they still, despite the fact that you came in, a trooper, go out of their way to treat you like human filth.
hmm
That's what happened to me yesterday. It was terrible. And I even texted you because I'm like, dude, my
hmm
boss is just the worst of the worst. I'm out. And I left early.
Yeah. What are you gonna do, right?
I'm like, I'm sick as a dog here and I'm doing the best I
hmm
can. And all they can do is nitpick and just look for these little microscopic
hmm
issues that a lot of them are creations of their own mind.
Sure.
And they're
Sure.
throwing curveballs at me. And I'm like,
Well,
if
like
you,
even if they weren't, I mean, time and place,
oh,
right?
yes.
I mean, okay, this guy is barely hanging on.
Hmm.
He actually came in
Right.
to make sure that at least his weight was carried.
Hmm.
And I'm going to talk to him like he's an idiot. I'm going to talk to him like he's a jerk.
Yep.
Mm.
Dude, if you had set me in a bathtub full of water yesterday morning, it'd be boiling.
There'd be steam.
Dude, I was had the worst fever. My eyes were like slits of just red veins. I couldn't even function, man.
Mm.
Yet there I was pressing on. And I swear to you, this is true. On the ride into work, I was thinking, please, Lord, no visits today. Just let me do what I need to do, punch in, get in there, and get the hell out of there.
Mm.
That day will be a success. And I wasn't even there for 30 minutes when I heard a page on the intercom, and I go, no, no, not today, please, please. So, but things are turning around, man, because I'm here talking with you. We got some comics we're going to discuss. I got some fresh reads. You get some back
Sure.
issues. You get more of your Batmania catalog kicking there. So that's
Oh
good.
yeah.
I'm a happy guy. What can I say? This is good stuff.
There you
Hashtag
go.
good stuff. Okay. Now, on another personal note, something else I really wanted to discuss today, and I think it's important to share this with the audience, is... wait, what? Bada Bot's chiming in. Can you repeat that, Bada Bot? Oh!
I don't have the I don't understand the language yet. It's still new to me, so I don't know what's going on.
If you don't speak Bada Bot, you better hold on to something right now. Are you sitting? You are sitting. Very good.
I'm sitting. I'm holding on tight.
Bada Bot says we have a special guest on the phone right now calling in. Now, we don't really ever get calls in to the Bada Bin hotline.
Is it Chris Yu?
Bada Bot, is it Chris Yu? No, not Chris Yu, but...
Okay.
Oh! He says, in lieu of Chris Yu, we'll still be pleasantly surprised. Well,
Okay.
Bada Bot, if you don't mind, why don't we connect this call right now and see who this mysterious caller is? Hello? You're on the phone with the Bada Bin Show.
Hey everybody, I'm Guy Fieri.
Oh my God, it's Guy. Guy! Dude, we talk about you.
How do you get our number?
I don't know. We talk about you all the time. This is amazing. I can't believe it. He's calling into our humble little program. Guy, where are you calling from?
It's a first-class ticket to Flavortown International.
Oh,
Oh,
where else?
Makes sense. Stands to reason.
Where else would you be calling from? I mean, thank you for offering me a ticket to Flavortown International, because Flavortown knows no boundaries. There's no borders. This is fantastic, Guy. Now, Guy, real quick, first off, thanks so much for calling in. But because we do talk about you so much, and mostly because about the variant cover that DC has made of you for World's Finest, I mean, Guy, you're a D, E, maybe even Z-list celebrity. Are you truly honored? How do you feel about your image sharing space with the likes of Superman and Batman?
Okay.
Okay. I guess you get us all fooled, don't you, Guy? Don't you, Guy? Now, Chris, do you have any questions for Guy?
You know,
I mean,
this is such a unique opportunity.
Yeah.
So while we have him here,
Yeah.
I mean, is there anything? I consider us close friends with the man,
Sure.
right? So is there anything he can like maybe talk to us about? Give us a little peek behind the curtain. Tell us a thing or two about a thing or two.
Yeah. Any give us the dirt,
Anything,
Guy. Guy, do you have any dirt? Guy, you there?
One time Paula Deen, Gordon Ramsay, and I had a three-way.
Whoa.
Wow.
Oh, shocking admission. Make sure you be careful next time you
That's
have
a nut sandwich.
Yeah, exactly. Watch out for those trash can nachos. They might be tainted. Now, Guy, that's a shocking revelation. I'm glad you made it right here in the Bada Bin Show. Now, just as a quick follow-up, Guy? Well, Bada Bot, what's going on there? All right, we've lost Guy, but
I guess cell reception is pretty spotty in Flavortown.
it could be. Maybe he was calling from Skype.
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe he was using Skype.
Maybe that was the issue there. But wow, our first guest on the Bada Bin Show, and
it might have to be the last guest because we're not going to top it.
This is true. That was something else. The shocking revelations we just had, and might be the first, the last, the best. You know.
There you go.
I'm just glad to know that he has snookered us all with his variant cover, and he agrees that He's pulled the wool over all of our eyes, or the bleached wig over all of our eyes.
The bleach spikes.
Yes. He has sprayed us in the eyes with some barbecue sauce, and we're blinded to the truth, thanks to Guy. Even though, what's that, Chris?
I was going to say I had a shocking Guy revelation this weekend when I
Oh.
went to a comic book store. And I'm in there going through the back issue bins like I'm wont to do.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody walked in and asked the guy behind the counter if they had The World's Finest with the Food Network guy on the cover.
What?
And
This is crazy.
Without any irony. Like
Uh-huh.
it wasn't for a piss take or a gag. He was just like, "Hey, do you have that one?" And the guy behind the counter said, "No, we sold out."
We sold out. We had 2 copies. They're gone.
Without a shred of irony. I mean, like it wasn't treated as a joke. I texted you right away, and I'm like, maybe we're wrong.
Yeah.
We might be the wrong ones here.
No.
They fooled us, Jerry.
No. We're not wrong here, okay? The world is just a crazy place. This is the bizarro universe that we're living in. And, I mean, I told you the story about back in the day, hanging out in the comic shop, and a kid came in looking for the Flash book, but he wanted one with a photo cover
Yeah.
of the current Flash on TV or bust,
Sure.
So, I mean, maybe there is a Flavortown disciple out there who
A
is...
contingent of Flavortownians.
Yeah, exactly. Badabinians unite. We're going to war.
Storm the castle.
But yeah, I mean, to each their own, I suppose, if that's what you really want in your life. And, to be perfectly honest, for full transparency here, when World's Finest came out, I wanted that Jerry Seinfeld variant cover.
Sure.
And I could argue up and down the board till I'm blue in the face why Jerry Seinfeld has more cultural significance than Guy Fieri.
And relativity to Superman.
Oh, yes. Yeah, right, exactly. So there's even another great comparison
Layer,
talking point. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe there was a Superman themed restaurant Guy Fieri went to once in Oshkosh. I don't know.
I really wasn't expecting him to roll the R in his name too. That kind of took me out of the game there. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was not expecting that.
Got to add some flair to that. Got a
Yeah,
little panache.
from now on, I'm Christian.
Okay, there you go. Well, still, it was a thrill to talk to that.
It was.
Piece of,
It was.
piece
It
of
was.
poo.
Mm.
Yes, I just called our first guest fecal matter. Okay, because that's the kind of host I am. I was blame the cold medicine. I was at a lack for words
There you
mentally, and the number one insult
First thing came to mind.
Yeah. I'm like, you're doo doo, man. That's what you is. You just be doo doo. So lack of mental acuity.
He do the doo doo.
He did do the doo doo.
But he do so well.
Bada, I do want to thank you for letting that call come through. Appreciate it. You're a wonderful assistant. I know Chris doesn't understand you. I know that makes you
I'm
sad.
working on it. I'll bring some 30 weight oil next time.
Oh, no oil required, just
Okay,
your
okay.
love. Okay. So, Chris,
My love comes in the form of oil.
Does it? You might want to get that checked. Okay.
Behind the 7-Eleven.
Hey, wherever. It's funny, just real quick, because I was like, let's start talking about comics, and you bring up something, and here we go into the weeds.
It's what we do.
I am not a 7-Eleven fan, and I used to eat at 7-Eleven far too frequently than what is recommended by any social
dietitian.
Anybody. I was going to say social norms, because years ago I was a young guy in my late 20s, early 30s, and I lived down the street from one. And I grew up without 7-Eleven. Sure,
Okay.
we had convenience stores and stuff, but 7-Eleven nachos and all the offerings they had, I was like, I'm drunk half the time. This sounds great. Let's munch on this stuff. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is I have not had like a 7-Eleven nacho. I have not had a rolling hot dog, a Slurpee, anything from there in at least 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
So good for me.
Same here.
It's been that long?
Yeah, we only started getting 7-Elevens out here like this past year. Like there was like one or two, but they were in the great part of town that you don't want to get out of the car in. But now they've been putting a couple of them up, and they look a lot cleaner than they used to. But I haven't gone in.
So you're telling me to connect with our fair Bada bot, you not only want to do this behind a gas station, but a gas station in the crummy part of town,
The best
other
part of
side of the
town.
tracks. Boy, rent a room by the hour. Why don't
That's where
you,
the best
Chris?
doctors are.
Yeah, sure. By the way, you see what's back?
Coffee back.
Oh, last week was a nightmare for me.
How
man.
did that go? We didn't even talk about that.
Oh, my inventory?
Yeah.
That went fine.
Okay.
That was simple. How'd that go? It was fine. Take a sip. That's all. That's all I got to say about that, Forrest Gump. No, I mean, I was up at like 2 a.m. the next day, and, I've done it so many times that the real only issue with it is the fact that I have to wake up so early.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And plus, here's another work complaint. Everybody get ready for this, and I'm sure many folks can relate, is that your jobs often want you to do certain tasks, but they won't provide you with the tools you need to, in fact, complete those tasks. That's my employer. So
There you go.
there's certain things we need to do to get inventory complete, but you're roaming around the facilities for half an hour going, where is this thing? Who has this thing? What's going on here? So, now, do you want to move on to some comics?
Sure.
Okay, because last week we had fresh stuff. The shipment just came in. I get my books bi-weekly, so I'm in my midweek. Actually, they come in tomorrow.
Your off week. Oh, this is okay.
Yeah, so I'm still reading the tail end of the newer books that I got from the previous shipment. And I'm sorry for wiping my nose on camera, but I did explain I'm ill. And the alternative, unless
It's
you're
less
like,
pleasant.
yes, much so. Thank you. Anyway, as I was just following up on, some of the books that I didn't necessarily hit the top of my read pile, but it wasn't for any specific reason because I hate the book, but just because it trailed off. And the reason why I paused there was one of the books I'm about to bring up today. I've mentioned on the show many a time. I love the book. And I'm waiting for someone to write in badabinshow@gmail.com and say, Dave, how did this wait? What do you mean you put it lower on the stack, To which I will explain like this. Have you ever gone out for breakfast and you have this beautiful plate of toast, eggs, however it's made of your choice, and bacon in front of you?
You saved the bacon for last?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. You save one strip of bacon for the end, your final bite, because no matter what happens between now
You ain't
and
topping
then,
that.
you're gonna love it. So this book later, you'll see, turned out to be my little, well, it was Canadian bacon this time around, which is a weird thing to say in itself. But I'm grabbing books, so bear with me.
It's just ham.
It was. I'll explain. Give me a moment here. Calm down, Chris. Calm down.
Sorry.
All right. So first book I have this week is a little ditty, a yarn called "Deadly Tales of Gunslinger Spawn." Interestingly, this cover, I don't know if it's always said it this way. Maybe it could be the haze of the Dayquil and various fluids I have in me. If it never says Spawn on it, it only says Deadly Tales of the Gunslinger. But in my past reviews on these airwaves, I haven't been overly fond of this book.
Yeah.
It's been, okay.
That's Palmiotti.
Yes, it is. And he's one of the main draws of
Sure.
why I picked this title up, because I have no loves for Spawn. You know, I missed the Spawn boat in the 90s. I never jumped on and grabbed an oar over the last 30 some odd years. I figured that's McFarlane's lane. As far as my interest in the man, I'll just buy his action figures. Spawn is beyond me. And I did find it interesting he had a gunslinger version. Still not enough. It's still a little too daunting for me to go pick it up, because I'm like, there's a lot of lore there now. A lot going on. But with Palmiotti picking up the book, I go, hey, this is a dude who wrote a pretty good Jonah Hex run. So even if there's sprinkled in some continuity stuff I may not understand, at least I know this gangster looking New Yorker can write a decent Western, which is weird. But he does. He looks like he's a made man, right? Palmiotti looks like he could be hanging out on a street corner with like Joe Pesci or something. Like, hey,
Sure.
gabagool. This issue number 4, I loved it.
Okay.
For me, thus far, best of the series. And this is going to be an interesting note here, because the actual artist of the book is very in-depth, very gritty, very dark. Are you familiar with like Aaron Campbell at all?
Not off the top of my head, no.
All right. Well, this artist, his name is Patrick Reynolds. He's the actual artist, regular artist in the book. And you know me,
Okay.
with fill-in artists, I'm like, I don't know, man. Don't throw me off my vibes if I'm enjoying a book with the fill-ins, you know. But this guy, Harden, dude, I just love his art. I think it's amazing. It's like this weird combination. It's dangerous. It's loose yet it's tight. You know what I mean? It's very horror centric. There's a lot of great lines that used there. I just couldn't get enough of it, and I actually have a strange comp to make for this gentleman, which some people might relate to, and others might just think I'm absolutely insane. But maybe people remember a series from way back when, Mr. Miracle. I believe this was volume 2, no? Or is this
2.
volume 3? 2. Thank you, Chris. And the artist on this is a man by the name of Ian Gibson. Ian Gibson, I definitely think, would be put into the category of an acquired taste. There's no secret. I love Jeff Purves, for example, on the Hulk. But he's not for everybody. Ian Gibson has this very cartoony, loose, yet sometimes can, in fact, be tightened up and really like detail-heavy art style.
Sure.
And I found the same effects going on here with this artist on Gunslinger Spawn. So man, when I read this, dude, I was just totally enthralled and interested in the art. I thought it suited the story really, really well. So while the scripts haven't necessarily been bad in Gunslinger thus far by Palmiotti, I haven't gotten that full. And I know it's kind of not fair to say I want the same experience that I had with New 52, Jonah Hex, or All-Star Western. But I mean, when you got this artist, writer rather, who has experience doing a certain thing, when he's in the same genre, you expect that same level of quality of content. Sure. So I'm not trying to disparage Patrick Reynolds at all, the regular series artist, but this was a great change of pace for me, and thus far, my favorite issue of the entire series. Real quick, though, I mentioned at the jump how I'm not familiar with the lore of Spawn. So there are moments, and I find myself very uncomfortable when this happens, where there might be a character mentioned or shown, and I'm like, is he from or she from the Spawn universe? And I'd have no idea because I don't read it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
someone else would be doing the Leo DiCaprio meme, like, I get that reference. And me, I'm just like, ha, 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 ha. The art is here is great. I don't know what the hell's going on, you know? So, anyway. And by the way, I do apologize. I feel like I sound terrible. Do I sound terrible, Chris?
I don't think so.
Okay. Good, good, good.
But I've been listening to you talk for the past hour, so
Yeah. Me. All right.
I might be catching something myself from being so close to
Here
you.
you go, the proximity.
Yeah.
Next book up is Red Coat, which is Ghost Machine. Another Image book. Red Coat is Brian Hitch, Jeff Johns. I think we've mentioned on the show before, neither of us are huge Brian Hitch fans.
No.
I mean, the dude's done a lot of big projects, been around a long time. All the heavy hitters, Justice League, the Ultimates, and this creator series, Red Coat. I haven't talked about it as much as I probably should on the show because it's pretty solid. I was surprised by the quality of it when I first picked it up because I subbed to it essentially on a lark with the initial Ghost Machine rollout. And I think I mentioned that Rook has been the best book out of all of them thus far. Geiger, Red Coat, Hyde Street. But I gotta admit, man, despite not always digging the artistic stylings of Mr. Hitch, he's putting some good work out there. And this book, this is actually issue 10 of Red Coat, was a lot of fun. One of the gimmicks with Red Coat is how he interacts with historical figures.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Do you know anything about the whole premise of this Red Coat series?
Zip.
All right. British soldier, hence Red Coat, who is not a nice human being. His moral fibers are not of the finest cloth, or put it that way. He's. I'm trying to avoid saying anti-hero. He's a dick. You know?
Not a nice dude.
He's not a nice guy, but he is gifted with immortality after he stumbles upon a ceremony. And with that, he can be killed, but he gets revived like 24 hours later. So these are his hijinks throughout the years. And I mentioned the historical figures, such as most notably a young Einstein, Johnny Appleseed. But here in this issue, we have Annie Oakley. And it's a fun little romp. It's a good read. And I really feel like Red Coat should be flying higher to the top of my read pile than what it is. And because I kind of have that iffy feeling on the line work, I let it sink lower.
And you got all those Wade books on top.
Yeah. Well,
he's putting like 8 or 9 a week.
Dude, the Wade stuff. Sometimes I wonder. I'm like, am I hate reading this? Like, am I just going through the motions here because I have to? This is really hurting my feelings, you know.
The new John Byrne.
Dude, I don't know. That's a discussion for another time. It really is, because I think I need to do another John Byrne dive, because we've discussed how his mid-2000s material is just ghastly, just this loose lines and just...
FEMA was called in.
Disaster, yeah. Just how it's like, you just phoned it in, you know, and you're just getting your paycheck. I'm Byrne, I can do whatever I want. I'm here for name recognition.
He did it through the soup cans.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, yet again, we'll put a pin in that. Sure. There's something we haven't said in a while. We'll put a pin in that whole John Byrne discussion. But anyway, back to Red Coat. Wrap this up. Yeah, I'm enjoying it more than I should. I recommend it. This issue in particular, issue 10, I think is an easy place to jump on if you have never read the book before. And, you know, if you're into that kind of time traveling... He's not time traveling, but if you're willing to go back in time,
going through time,
with your reads and watch this silly bastard get himself into a whole bunch of trouble, then Red Coat might be the book for you. The other thing too is, I mean, really, it is a Jeff Johns book, and I mean, Jeff Johns, he is pretty consistent,
True.
It's like even when Jeff Johns phones it in, he's probably giving you a book that's better than half the other titles out in the stands,
At least.
you know?
Yeah.
So I would definitely recommend checking that out. And then as far as my newer reads this week, last but definitely not least, I compared it to Canadian Bacon. And that is Dick Tracy from Mad Cave Studios, issue number 8. I've been loving the Dickens out of this title. Mentioned is dark. It's really not your father's Dick Tracy. It's not so grim and gruesome to the point where you feel like it's an act or they're looking for any kind of shock and awe. Like, hey, look at all the blood and guts we threw into Dick Tracy. We're the
Sure.
team that did that for social media clicks or anything. It doesn't feel that way.
Yeah.
It's just a really good, gritty story, and it does get a very high recommendation for me. And the only reason why Dick Tracy number 8 is compared to Canadian than a crispy piece of our American bacon. It kind of had it had its action, it had its adventure, but it kind of had that gappy feel to me a little bit, if that makes any sense. It's definitely leading somewhere. We're dealing with a new villain, which you might have seen if you've ever watched the film, known as the Blank. Albeit I think there's more of a surprise here. They're not trying to follow the exact same path as the film because, I mean, really, that'd be cheating.
True.
So yeah, Dick Tracy, read it. If you want a little palate cleanser from Capes, I think there's no better place for you to go than Cheers or Dick Tracy. And as a matter of fact, right now I'm showing off some of the interior art from the book, so people who've never seen it before can kind of get the feel for the artist George Borges and his take on a classic character, the yellow trench coat wearing Senor Dick Tracy. So, Chris, you're definitely going to go sub to Dick Tracy immediately now, aren't you?
Oh yeah, it's on my list.
Yeah, sure. Just lie to me. Lie to me like you lied to Bada Bot behind a 7-Eleven. Oh, now, baby. Hey, now.
That was uncalled for.
Yes. But those were the reads this week, and I didn't, hopefully I surprised you by whipping out Mr. Miracle number 2.
There you go.
Didn't expect that with, say your prayers, eat your vitamins. Hey, before we get into your books and reads and stuff,
Sure.
and you're going to be tickled pink by the fact I'm bringing this up probably, is my friend Bada was so wowed, so moved by the recent news in the WWE. The John Cena heel turn.
Oh yeah.
I am struggling with that as a non-wrestling fan so much you have no idea.
Why is that?
Because John Cena, this isn't like the 80s or the 90s where the most exposure wrestlers got were like through toys and no holds barred. Speaking of Hulk Hogan, these guys now...
The good old days.
Thank you. Yes, the good old days. These guys are like multimedia. They're brands. John Cena is a brand. So we all know everything's scripted, and that's fine. I mean, we're grown men talking about comic books here. We get upset when Superman reveals his identity to the masses. I understand that. But to say John Cena is a bad guy and like, I don't know, man, separate church and state, right? Because in real life, he's not a bad guy. From all accounts, he's a very nice gentleman who does a lot of wonderful things. Yet, the moment that you turn on wrestling, you're supposed to go, this character he's playing, I can fully buy, he's evil. I struggle with that. I have a hard time separating the fiction from reality.
Well, they're actually kind of blending reality and fiction in this case. Where I mean, if you haven't been following, Cena was hated by most of the mature fans for pretty much his entire career. Like he would come out and all the adult men would boo him, and all the kids and women would cheer him. So you would actually hear like when he would throw a punch, the guys would boo, but the kids would squee. So it was always this generational gap with the fandom on him.
Okay.
And now he's throwing that back in everybody's faces. And he's like, you don't want to like me, don't like me. And he's just being a dick, and it's great. And it's going to be short lived. This is his last year, so he's not going to go out as a heel. So this is short lived. I'm sure he wanted to play a heel for a long, long time. So he's having some fun doing that, and then before he hangs him up for good, he'll come back to the good side, and he'll leave a good guy. He'll leave a hero.
Okay. That's good to know.
But it's just a fun story.
See, I'm so...
And I mean, I have no insider information or anything. It's just I can't see him leaving as a heel.
Bada, do we have John Cena on the line right now? Nope.
No,
Unfortunately, no.
See, he's a bad guy.
Oh, okay.
He's a bad guy right now.
Well,
he's not going to call us.
So isn't Guy Fieri. He's a bad guy, too.
No, I mean, I guess.
All right. So,
maybe we're wrong.
Never. I'm just saying, like, if you had asked me prior to our conversation just now, is John Cena a good guy or a bad guy in wrestling? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't watch it.
Sure.
I have no idea. But to see my friend Bada moved to the point where he's like, that was a big deal. He came in.
That was one of the biggest deals in 25 years.
Yeah, like I just...
Yeah.
I'm like, wow. And I love fiction. I really do. But for some reason, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the what's the word for it? The kayfabe and things that you've discussed on this very program where, just you're supposed to be this character in wrestling and you think you're supposed to be this character all the time. It's not like acting. It's different. I know it is acting, but it's different.
But you're still kind of playing yourself.
Yeah. It's weird to me. It's just this very vague.
Oh, it's a very unique form of entertainment.
Yeah.
Yeah. You really can't compare it to much.
And I be the dick.
Yeah, I mean, you can compare it to a bunch of things, but you can't compare it in a vacuum to anything
okay.
else.
That's fair. I'm just saying you wouldn't want to watch wrestling with me because you'd be like, yeah, John Cena sucks now. He's a bad guy. I'm like, he was just doing Make-A-Wish yesterday. Are you kidding me? He's a good guy. A good guy, I tell ya. I wouldn't be able to separate and just enjoy the experience. I'd be like, eh.
Yeah, it's a lot of doing, we don't really get that. I mean, I guess we do get heel and babyface turns in comics, but it's different,
They're both fictional characters.
Yeah.
It's just that one is flesh and blood, the other is...
One's full color.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And it's just...
Your brother is waving.
Oh, hello! Does he want to call in like Guy? Huh? You want the phone number? We'll give it to you.
Dave's a brother.
That's right. Anyway, I'm glad we got that out there because, it, as you just said, it is a big deal. People who love wrestling, and there's a lot of folks out there who love wrestling and love comics. That was like earth-shattering news.
It was. It actually got spoiled for me because my brother-in-law usually comes over to watch wrestling pay-per-views with me. And he was working on a Saturday. They're on Saturday nights now. And he was working. So it's like, oh, okay. Well, we'll watch it Sunday. And so I stayed off all the wrestling news sites. I stayed off YouTube. I stayed off everything where it could be possibly spoiled for me. And when we start recording, like that little thing in the corner of your screen, if you're on Windows, where it like brings up like a newsfeed.
Yeah.
It's like I went over there to check the weather. And it's like John Cena heel turn. I'm like, you son of a bitch.
Whoops.
It's like so it was spoiled for me. I didn't even get to see it, play. It wasn't like 1996 when Hogan turned. I mean, I saw that happen. It was like, oh,
yeah,
and this is the biggest deal since that. I
Do
think
you remember where you were and what you were doing when
I
Hogan
was
turned to you?
I was somewhere in New York. Yeah.
Okay. Destroying a gym sock, and you were like, "Hey, this is big news. I'm never gonna forget this
Hulkamania's
moment.
running wild.
I wish I was doing something better with my time." Anyway, your books. Let's talk about what you've been digging in on this week.
Okay. I read a few new books,
Hmm.
but they're either books we've already talked about or books I have like nothing to say about. And it's not like in the Mark Wade way where it's like I read it and it was something that happened to me and I have nothing to
Yeah,
say. These are like I read it and I enjoyed it, but I still have nothing to
yeah.
say. Like I read the latest Detective and it was like, oh, this is pretty good. That's good stuff. But I damned if I can think of anything to say about it.
Well, let me ask you a question about it.
Do
How
it.
about we do that instead? Now, Detective started off with a
Hmm.
bang with the Joe Chill stuff that I
Yep.
requested not to be spoiled on the show, but we did discuss it a little deeper.
Hmm.
Has
Hmm.
that progressed any further, or is that still
No,
no?
that's kind of lingering in the background a bit. There have been bits and pieces where it's hinted at and addressed, but nothing like we haven't really had our come to grips moment with it yet.
Okay.
I think because this story is running. Hopefully, it's not a case of Ram V Part Two, but I was expecting the story to go 4 or 5 issues, like a lot of the stories are nowadays. And I think Part Five just came out, and it's said to be continued.
Mm,
So it will continue.
okay.
So I'm guessing there'll be. I think Chris, you even said it in an email like a couple months back, where he figures it's gonna like be like a sandwich. It's gonna start with the Joe Chill stuff, and it'll like wrap up with the Joe Chill stuff. And I can see that happening for
Sure.
sure.
Right on.
But it's an enjoyable story. All the same, it's just I can't really muster much to say. Um, I tried reading that issue of Action.
No.
No.
Yeah, that was. I mean, you sound like me last week, where I'm like everything was okay, this is all right, and then when I whipped out
Yeah.
Action and World's Finest, I'm like, I think I had an image of a burning trash can on the side of the screen.
Garbage can. Yeah. Yep.
This was just lousy. And to kind of follow up on that, that was the Major Disaster story by John
Yep.
Ridley,
Hmm. Hmm.
where
Superstars.
superstars and talking about turning heel, there was a villain that turned good, and all of a sudden villains were turning bad again.
Hmm.
And it had to do with Mannheim corrupting these guys, ding, ding, ding. But lo and behold, the big twist was that Superman decides for the. Should I spoil this? I feel like I'm.
Do it. Save people
All
from reading it.
right, that major
Yeah.
disasters.
Save me from reading it. I didn't get through the issue.
Oh, okay. There you go. It was
Yeah.
Major Disaster's daughter was the culprit who murdered a dude at the beginning of the story arc,
Hmm.
and Major Disaster was taking the heat because he was so rotten
Protecting.
to his daughter
Mm.
her whole life that he was like, I can do one good thing is provide you an out so you can carry on. And Superman is presented with this information and decides not to turn her in, not to expose the truth, but just let it be, let it lie.
Hmm.
Of course, he stops Mannheim, and there's some weird time stealing villains and everything else going on there is, side fluff that was just really lousy. But the reason why I'm bringing up Major Disaster's daughter, whose name escapes me right now, is that's what actually hit the clickbait sites and stuff. Was
Okay.
Superman gives up on moral code, or this one change to Superman hasn't happened in X amount of years, and you'd open it and be like, he let a bad guy go free. You know,
It's a story that will never be referenced again.
I don't think so either. I
It's
was
a
really
story that
bad.
you'll forget as soon as you read it. I mean, this isn't Byrne killing the the refugees in the Phantom Zone, right, or the
Correct.
Phantom Zone criminals. This ain't that. This is lousy.
Yeah, it was really bad. And
Mm,
I think that was my note last week in my little rant that led off the show this week. Action has been so bad, it's
mm.
softening the blow to the eventual cut from the sub, you know.
It's true.
And if you
It's true.
liked
I
it,
wonder if
if you're out there and you enjoyed it, good for you. I'd love to hear about
thank you, congratulations. Yeah.
congratulations. I'm sure Chris and I would both love to hear why or how, or
Oh,
for you to
always.
defend it, badabinshow at gmail.com. But I don't think
Oh,
there's,
definitely.
you know what? I'm wrong. There's going to be
Hmm.
one website, and you know who I'm
Geek
talking.
Dad.
Geek Dad. 9.6 out of whatever for that issue of Action that was god awful. All right, I'm sorry for
Hmm.
hijacking your books.
No, no, no. I mean, I had nothing to say about it.
Okay.
I'm glad you did because the entire Superstars run so far has been garbage.
Yeah. I mean, Jason Aaron's Bizarro story was okay.
Had nice art.
Oh yeah, that was beautiful art.
Yeah.
I mean, it was okay. The Gail Simone one was an homage piece. I wasn't very fond of it, but I understand it being a love letter to Denny and Neil Adams, and I get it. What else do we have in Superstars? Who else was on there? Well, of course, the Mark Wade Phantom storyline, which was being trapped forever
Interminable. Yeah.
in the most bland, vanilla paint drying scenario.
Brutal.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's fair that you call it garbage.
No, but if you're gonna call something that,
Superstars. Yeah.
you need to actually bring it.
Yeah.
It can't be like, hey, this is who we like around the office this month.
True.
It can't be, this is employee of the month at DC. It has to be something that Superstars has a gravitas to it. You need to bring it, and they haven't.
Who would you have brought?
To Superstars,
Well, if you
I
like,
well, I probably wouldn't have done that.
okay.
First of all, um, I mean, how many Superstars are left
All right.
that still work for DC?
Okay. That's fair too.
What are you gonna do? Bring Jeff Johns back? He ain't coming back.
All right.
You gonna bring Grant Morrison back? You could do that. He could do a damn good Superman. Bring him in. Geez, I'm not a huge Rucka fan, but bring Rucka in. I think Rucka could do good work. Brian Bourne could do good work. There are a lot of talented folks out there, but it's like, hey, this is the people that we already have here. So I mean, they kicked it off with Aaron, which should have been huge.
Mm.
And it's like, here's a Lal Bizarro story. Great. We already read the one Bizarro story.
What I was gonna say is your choice. One writer to do 3-issue arc. Anybody you want, whether they wrote it in the past,
Mm-hmm.
whoever. Who would you choose?
Yeah,
It'll take you a while to think about that one because I got a couple ideas.
has Peter David ever done Superman?
I don't think he's ever done.
He's done Supergirl.
He's done Action Comics Weekly, right?
Well, that wasn't Superman.
Right.
He did Green Lantern.
Yeah.
Superstars. You have Dan Jurgens there.
Yeah, you read my mind. I was like, it'd be great if they brought Jerry Ordway back
You got Ordway there.
to write and draw.
I'm sure Louise Simonson could do something.
Yeah, I know.
Roger Stern, is he still kicking around? DeMatteis?
Yeah. You know what? That wouldn't be bad. That's actually not a bad concept. Like, all right, let's take Superstars off the board. Let's stop saying it.
Sure. Just like a retroactive sort of like
A nostalgia play.
Yeah, do it. I mean, that's kind of what they're going to be doing anyway.
Yeah. Bring back writers and artists from the past that
Mm-hmm.
you have fond memories of. Give them 3 issues, sink or swim. Let them do whatever the hell they want. It's Action Comics. Have fun with it and
Yeah.
call it a
Play.
day. And then you also know.
Busiek.
What's that?
Busiek.
I mean, Oh, we could invite him
The
back.
hell was
Oh,
that?
hello. Um,
Hmm.
anyway, as I was saying before, we were interrupted by the chili dog man.
Bendis?
Bendis, no, but
No.
if you say you only have a 3-issue arc, then at least you're like, hey man, use your example. I don't want to read Walt Simonson's 3-issue arc. All right, come back in 3
Mm-hmm.
issues.
There you go.
We got something new. We got a new team for you. See what you think.
Mm-hmm.
Action Comics, I don't think you need that continuity there with the creative team. You could have a little bit more fun with it, you know?
Sure.
If it was thought out better, rather than, as you would aptly pointed out, it wasn't Superman Superstars, it was Superman who's picking up their phone, you know?
Because, I mentioned it last time when we were talking about the absolutes, where it's like, this is a line in search of books. Action Comics is a book in search of something, clearly, with what we're going to be getting with Wade. It's like it's looking for an identity when it's
Yeah.
it's like the original comic. So that should be enough.
You're right. It should be more than enough. It should
Yeah.
be like
Mm-hmm.
the goalpost, the pinnacle
Oh yeah.
of what a comic creator would want to accomplish is to have a run
Mm-hmm.
on action.
And I always thought it'd be a cool idea to take a year and flip detective in action.
Okay.
Throw Batman in action, Superman in detective. You could tell different flavors of stories with both heroes that you might not usually tell. You could tell more bright, colorful stories with a Batman, and you could do maybe a little bit of a darker thing with Superman, and it would work in like thematically. It wouldn't be like, hey, here's the antimatter universe, so let's all the blondes have dark hair now, and all the blue-eyed people have green eyes, and all that stupid crap.
Mm-hmm.
Just it could be something that could be fun and organic. You can have Superman working his analytical side in detective, and Batman maybe doing some more fantastical stuff in action.
Hey, it'd be worth a shot. I
Why
definitely
not?
wouldn't shoot that idea down.
I'm pretty sure they're selling around the same amount.
You know.
It's not like because action and detective have always been the also rans for like our lifetimes.
Yeah, that's. I don't know.
Yeah.
Tech always has that special place in my heart, especially for where it arrived at that particular time in my fandom.
Grant Brayfogle.
Well, yes, Brayfogle, Grant, and while that team did become interchangeable with Batman, still Tech was like that first Batman book when I
Mhm.
was like feeling it, man. Those early vibes that just hit me, and
Sure,
it's
sure.
still just it's bringing out something in me that isn't affiliated with my current cold situation. So I might need some napkins in here, stat. But yeah, but you calling it an also ran, you're right, and it's unfortunate because yet again here I am reiterating what I just said 5 minutes ago. Action
Hmm.
Comics, people should want that book and be willing to kill to write or draw that book.
Could you imagine like you're part of the lineage that goes back to
Mm.
1938, and we see people getting their shot and absolutely fumbling it.
Oh yeah.
It's an afterthought.
Well, there's something to be said about faking it until you make it, right? Because it's all based on your character as a human being, your
Hmm.
personality. How many creators have walked away because they weren't ready for the responsibility, for the
Oh yeah,
task?
zero.
Well, maybe we don't know because, you know,
Oh yeah, I guess we wouldn't know, would we?
much like Guy's 3-way behind the scenes, we're not privy to all this
Alleged,
information.
alleged,
What's that?
alleged.
Oh, okay, thank you. Asterisk.
He might have been on cold medicine when he called in.
Okay.
That might be why he
All
called
right,
in.
true, true. We don't want to get sued.
Yeah, he found a kinship with you
Yes,
for
indeed.
being on cold
You're
meds.
very wise. You can't get blood from a
He was
stone. If you do
he
sue
was
us, we have no money. And as I like to say, you can't get kale from Flavortown, so don't come a calling, guy. But yeah, we don't know who's walked away from that book because they were probably like, let me. Okay, I'm just totally.
If I were a betting man,
You're still
I'd say
saying
none.
zero?
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I think
I
there'd
mean,
be a few.
we've seen a lot of not ready for primetime writers
Yeah,
all across the board.
sure. But
I mean, the entire X-Men line right now,
okay. Hey man, I'm still
not
willing to
ready for
bet
primetime.
that
Hmm.
throughout the last 80 plus years, someone said, let me sit down and think about it for a week. I'll come back to you. And they tried outlining or whatever, and they're just like, I can't do it. I just can't do it. I want to do it. I want to be on that book, but I just don't have that mojo right now. You know?
Don't know.
Okay. You say zero, I say at least a few. We're still not talking about a wide gamut of creators who turn things down. Obviously, because I mean, realistically, that much material you're bound to have. It's like a batting average in baseball. You're
Hmm.
bound to have some rubbish in there, right? And a lot of it.
You hit the Milgram line.
that's the goal, right there. Try to get above that Milgram line. But yeah, some of this stuff recently is definitely. Hello, you doing anything on Tuesday? Nope. Want to write Action Comics? Okay.
We need 3 issues. Okay.
All right. Sounds good. Can I have him do whatever I want? Can I bring up any stupid character from his history? Can I use the wiki randomizer that Chris is so fond of? Okay.
Don't worry. We'll put a footnote in there that says it happened before this, but after
Yeah.
that, but before that, and not including this.
Right. It's
And
painful.
oops, we forgot that.
Dude, it is painful. And,
Hmm.
you brought up Bendis earlier, and the Bendis run does not elicit many fond memories from any Superman fan. But
No.
that still was an announcement.
Well, it was a huge
Yeah.
deal.
You know,
That was the Kirby is coming of 2018. That was a big deal.
we don't even have that.
No.
You know, like you just said, Kirby is coming. At least people are excited. Their
Hmm.
juices were flowing. Things were percolating. Now it's just Superman superstars. We're gonna surprise you. Who's coming on board? And it's like you
Hmm.
wanted a Nintendo for Christmas, and you got like a Light Bright.
Hmm.
Bummer.
Totally.
Anyway.
Better luck next year.
Yeah, right. Better behave a little bit better there, children. All right, back to your books. Despite how
Oh yeah.
mediocre they may or may not be.
I made about halfway through the latest Nightwing. The story's getting a little long in the tooth. I looking at the cover of it, I miss doing NML Crossing
Okay.
because it's all about the Fly Boys.
Ooh.
And back in No Man's Land, we had all those Z ending
Yeah.
gangs that I would always exaggerate the names of on the air. So we had the Fly Boys,
Yes.
and it's okay. It's okay. Didn't finish it. I think I was reading it, and then my wife came home, and I put it down, and I just never picked it up again. So maybe I'll finish it this week. Trying to think if I've read anything else. I read the Superman 23. I thought that was great.
There we
But we
go.
already spoke about that.
There's some
We
optimism.
already, yeah, that was a good one. We already talked about
Yeah,
it though. I almost opened Justice League Unlimited. Or is it unlimited? Is that what
Yes.
it is unlimited, right? Okay.
Yep.
So I almost read
The
that.
Swamp Thing Tefe one that I talked about last time out.
I didn't open it, so
It
probably.
was issue 4. It's the one with like the Eye of
Oh.
Sauron on the cover.
I don't know what that is.
You don't know what the Eye of Sauron is?
Uh-uh.
Are you freaking
The
serious?
the dinosaur guy from the X-Men?
No, not Sauron, the dinosaur guy from the X-Men. Talking about the Lord of the Rings, fool.
Oh, never read it, never saw it, never cared about
You've
it.
never heard of the Eye of Sauron.
I'm sure I've heard of it. I just don't know that I ever gave it a
I am
thought.
freaking flabbergasted right now. You could knock me over with a feather.
I guess I always assumed it was the dinosaur guy.
Holy moly! All right, I need to take a breather. Get back on with your mediocre read pile.
Oh, we got Chris Yu in the comments. Oh, we got your brother too. Your
Hello.
brother talking about John Cena says he sold his soul to The Rock, and yes, he did.
Oh,
And he says he'll be a babyface again after WrestleMania, which I'm sure he will be. Then Chris Yu, he says, I'll write 3 issues of Action Comics as long as I can bring back the superpower of Superman shooting a mini Superman out of his hand.
why not?
I mean, let's make it happen.
How often in the past have you talked about the brilliance? And of course, I make fun of the man's wardrobe, but Grant Morrison being able to go back in history, cherry pick,
Make Silver Age stuff cool.
yeah, make random things relevant.
Oh, yeah.
So if Chris Yu can go back and pull that weird, zany shooting Superman out of my hand stuff, cool.
I have no problem with
Go
it.
for it. Yeah, I'm eager to read it,
I have
bro.
no-
And then
I'd rather read that than what we've been getting.
Oh yes, John Cena. Let me follow up on my brother's comment here.
Hit it.
He sold his soul. Get
He did.
out of here. He didn't sell
He did.
diddly poo. You think The Rock is a bad guy too?
I think he's probably kind of a dick.
Well,
But
he's probably helping an old lady across the street right now.
as long as there's a camera on him.
Maybe. But like selling your soul, if you're like that level of celebrity, you sold your
It's
soul.
a storyline.
Yeah. All right. You guys and your friggin' wrestling.
And Superman really didn't bend his moral code.
Yeah. Sorry, I had to look for something up here.
Christopher Reeve can't fly.
Yeah, I understand that. But listen, man, those are just paid roles. They change every time. It's not this. Well, listen, you know me. I can argue with myself better than.
Coco Beware really isn't a bird.
No, he's not.
He's a bird man.
He's a bird. Yes. I can always argue with myself so much, and I tear myself apart doing so. So I can see where it's like, all right, One Man Gang is also
Akeem, the African Dream.
The African Dream. So just because one role didn't work out for you in wrestling, it doesn't mean the doors are shut. It doesn't mean the avenue.
Well, he just realized that he had roots from Africa.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And then he was trained in the ways by Reverend Slick,
Uh-huh.
and he embraced his roots.
Yeah.
He did, which was also a slam against Dusty Rhodes.
Really?
Oh yeah, because he started doing like the jive talk and the dance like Dusty would do, and Dusty was the American dream.
Yes. And he was
And Akeem was the African dream.
And I know there's been some recent news about those DNA testing kits. But if you, gave him a 23andMe,
Oh,
I don't think the genealogy tests are probably going where we think they would.
what percentage do you need? What percentage? Do you need?
I don't know. I'm not the person to determine that, to be honest with you. I couldn't say. But Akeem, the African Dream, yeah. So yeah, there are roles to be played. There are characters in play here. I get it all. But yet again, different era compared to now.
There you go.
I rest my case.
Where was we?
Knock, knock.
Where was we?
Your
I don't know where we was. Oh, there, yeah.
Yes, Superman 23 was excellent, but we already discussed
real good.
it.
Was real good.
You were about to open Justice League Unlimited, and your better senses prevailed.
I just couldn't. Yeah, I just couldn't do it. It's there, so I'll read it eventually.
You know what?
It
makes for a fantastic flip book. The art is great.
So do I do?
No, but I mean, just flip through it. The art is fantastic.
Oh, I actually did flip through JSA number. I think it's 5.
Okay.
And saw that the story is still not over, and it's, they're not really launching this one with a bang. It's really taking its sweet time, and it's a story. You ever see like a story title, and then when you see the story title, you're just like, because I open up JSA number 1 and it's called Ragnarok Part 1. It's like, this is like got to be like the 75th book called Ragnarok this year. It's like, can we not, please? But now it's like Ragnarok Part 5 or whatever it is. So
Okay.
I don't know. Um, didn't read any of the Marvel stuff. I think I got like 5 pounds of Marvel books. I didn't open a single one. Um, they're still doing the, was it the 20 Deaths of Spider-Man or whatever it is? So that's still happening. The X-Men books are still happening. Daredevil is still in introductory rights. It's introductory rights part 18.
Got me, man.
I'm serious. That's not rhetorical. It's introductory rights part 18.
Wow.
It's a long damn story. Um, they were getting to Ram V levels there. What else? I can't think of anything else, but I do have a couple of back issues. When I went to that shop where the Guy Fieri book was sold out, I was digging around in there because I'm looking for those Toddnibus books, those Jason Todd pre-crisis books,
Right.
which are not easy to come by. It's like every shop I go to, the earliest Batman books you're going to find in the bins are probably like the Mud Pack, Detective, what was that, 60, or was it right before 600 or right after 600?
I think it was before.
Like, yeah, it was like right before, whatever it was. But those are as old as they get in most bins. So it's hard to get anything really before that. So I went to this one shop that is kind of known for having the old stuff. And I was able to grab a couple because as they do skew older and more toward the collector, they are more expensive. Where I don't need them to be perfect. I don't want them to be perfect because I can't afford them when they're perfect.
Hey,
So
real quick, just an editorial note here.
yeah,
They were
yeah.
issues
Footnote.
604 through 607, so I was incorrect.
Okay, so right
Just,
after 600.
yep, right after
Okay.
600.
They were after the Sam Ham stuff, I think. So where was I? Oh yeah, so these books they're for collectors, so they're more expensive. Where I just want them to read, so they can, as long as the cover's attached, I'm cool with it. So I was in there, and there were a couple of guys digging through the bins, and I've never haggled at a comic store. I don't know if you have. Have you ever haggled? Like not like a hey, this is up for negotiation, like sort of thing where like it's understood that the shop will do that, but like actually haggle.
It's okay. So I've went to a store. I don't really know the owner, and I'm like, "Hey, man, you
Hmm.
want $10 for that? I'll give you five." Like it's
Yes.
an eBay best offer or something. No.
Yeah. No, me either.
Yeah, I've had those situations where I go in and the guy's like, "Yeah, $5 for that book." I look at it, I go, "Eh," and he goes, "Well, what are you thinking?" Like that kind of thing.
Sure. I mean that's him putting it on you
Yes,
for
yes.
sure. Like when I bought that Detective 583 for like $10 or whatever it was. Like I wasn't gonna volley with him.
Mm-hmm.
He did look it up on eBay, but he gave me a price well under what eBay was. So I'm like, hit $10. Oh, can you do it for 8? Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. So I'm in the shop, and there are a couple of. It's nice to say older guys because I am among the older guys now, but these guys were older than me,
Okay.
so I can look at them and be like, the older guys. They're digging, and like they're like, he wants $50 for this. It's bent. It's like, oh, that just needs a pressing. We'll get it. We can get that. It's like, okay. So he's like, you have this for 50. Will you take 30 for it?
Yeah.
And the guy's like, no, I can do. I'll do 40. He's like, how about 32? It's like you're shitting me, right?
Yeah.
Like go on eBay, dude. I mean, this is ridiculous. I couldn't do that. That's the Irish Catholic in me. I can't,
Okay.
do that. But they were there doing that, and it's just like, oh god, it's like I don't want to be that person. But anyway, like I said, it's skewed toward collectors, so things are more expensive. So I didn't buy too much. I bought a couple of detectives from that era. One I think was the first appearance of Nocturna, and the other one was interesting to me, and I already filed it. I shouldn't have, but It was the first issue where Green Arrow was the backup, and it's an issue of Detective Comics with Green Arrow on the cover. Like there's a Batman logo in the background, but he ain't on the cover. It's Green Arrow on the cover of Detective. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Sure.
A couple other things that I found there. I found for the, that Titans thing that I keep threatening that's never going to happen.
Okay.
An issue of Brave and the Bold starring two of the worst characters ever created, Hawk and Dove.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. This is kind of a weird one because I think this is their first appearance since the 60s. They just went away when Ditko left or whatever. And like they even mention in here when you open it up that it's like, they come from a different time, the 60s.
Ooh.
Pretty interesting.
Yeah.
It's not great because it's Hawk and Dove, but what are you going to do? Another one I found, which is one of those books that's always been a wall book everywhere I've gone. And it's a pretty, I mean, you'll recognize it when you see it. It's one that gets a lot of love, probably just for the pure celebration that it's supposed to be. I didn't really care for it. I picked it up for one reason, but thought it was. This came out way before Crisis, but it feels very Crisis-y, and that's by design. And that is Showcase number 100. And this is like the big jam book where everybody who ever appeared in Showcase shows up in this book. That trade I picked up a few weeks ago with the Essential Showcase that had all the Fireman Farrell stuff in it. That had an intro from a foreword, I should say, from Paul Kupperberg, who is probably the biggest Showcase fan on the planet. So he writes about how, his love and affinity for Showcase Presents and how he was blessed and lucky to be part of that original run of Showcase. Of course, Showcase got canceled and then came back. He was part of that second stint. But he co-wrote this along with Paul Levitz. And we do have some more Hawk and Dove here because they did appear in Showcase. It's funny, their first appearance in Showcase is not worth a whole heck of a lot. But Hawk and Dove number 1 is worth like nothing. I thought that was kind of weird. But I picked this up for one reason, and it is that man right there, Fireman Farrell. That's his sole appearance in the book. The man who kicked off Showcase. He's relegated to one panel. This whole bunch of dimensional hoodoo, time hoodoo, where everybody's kind of pulled together here. You get some pretty cool cameos. Back when I was doing Chris's on Infinite Earths with regularity, I did do a bunch of weird showcases, things like Windy and Willie, the Maniacs, the Inferior Five, stuff like that. They're all in here. It's neat to see them. Lois Lane's in here because she had her feature started in Showcase before getting her own book. But usually that's a wall book. I actually saw it when I picked up that Essential Showcase at that shop, and they had it on the wall for $20. I got it for $3. So, I mean, really can't ask for more than that. But I did find some ephemera while I was there as well. There was a box in the corner. It was a magazine-sized box, which I really need to find. Yeah, I have one magazine-sized box. I need to get another one for some of my magazines. But it was a magazine-sized box, and it said everything in this box is 70% off. And so I'm like, yeah, I can't resist that. So I go through, and I see a familiar name now anyway. The name of James Van Hise. I think we've probably talked about James Van Hise more than anybody on the planet these past few weeks.
You're a fan.
He is. I have the James Hise library right now.
Yes.
I had that one weird, like X-Men blog that was on paper.
Uh-huh.
That was James Van Hise. I had Batmania 2.
Right.
And now we have the serial adventures of the serial adventures of Batman. So it's got some neat pictures in here. You get some like movie poster type gimmicks here. It's all it's the serial. and it's basically a recitation of what happens in every episode
Okay.
or every film or whatever the hell you'd call it. It's dry and dull, and I think I paid $3 for it because you go to a box that says 70% off, and then you're like, "Ooh, cool," and then you look on the back, and it's like, "Okay, okay, maybe it's up here." No, no, no. Could it be down here? No. How about here? No. Okay, is the price on the inside? No, no, there's no price. So I'm like, hey, this was in the 70% off thing. There ain't no price on it.
Yeah.
And he's like, $3. I'm like, all right, let's do it. So I've added to the second largest James Van Hise collection on the planet. Second only to him.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say to whom.
Yeah, just to
Yeah.
him. But anytime I see Van Hise, I'm going to pick it up.
Okay. Despite
Yeah.
it being ho hum stuff, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
Go for broke.
I love the hustle. I think I see him as a kindred spirit.
Yeah.
Like if I were a grown adult back in like when was this? Like 87 probably? This was 89.
Okay.
1989. So if I was a grown adult back in the mid to late 80s, I would like to think I'd be doing something like that, or I would have done something like that, or I'd have been in the milieu of the folks who did stuff like that. So I find Mr. Van Hise as a kindred spirit.
Well, I can say with the Bat publications, he's definitely going for that cheap heat, tying into the major motion picture.
The film.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
he knows when to strike when the iron is hot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then I found out there's actually 2 more of these out there. So gonna have to keep
The
an eye out.
serialized stuff.
Yeah, there's the serialized adventures of Batman and Robin volumes 1 and 2.
Wow.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Now, that was self-published, right?
It's by Pioneer Books. I don't know if he is Pioneer Books.
Most likely. CEO, founder, James.
Well, now I'm gonna have to look it up.
Nice. Yeah.
Pioneer Books Inc.
For the viewing audience, prior to us going live, you were looking up Mr. Van Hise online, and you
I did.
just started speaking foreign languages to me, and it was really weird.
his website. I guess he let his domain name lapse, and someone snapped it up.
Right. What do you got?
And he also has an eBay store. Let's see here, Pioneer Books Van Hise. No, nada. He does have the Serial Adventures of the Green Hornet. He's got a bunch of Star Trek stuff, which I could not care any less about. The Art of Al Williamson by James Van Hise.
Wow.
Yeah, he actually has his own Wikipedia page, so he's doing better than we are.
Okay. Well, I mean,
Let's see here.
I could log on right now and create a Wikipedia for us.
I dare you to.
I'm not going to.
Let's see.
I don't take dares.
Cold-blooded.
I watch enough PSAs as a kid to know just because.
Don't copy that floppy.
Yeah, just because little Billy tells you to go hang out on the railroad tracks.
Yeah, don't stick your tongue on that pole.
Exactly. Because all that's going to lead to is an untimely demise and just disfiguration and problems. Excuse me. Interestingly enough, I was talking PSAs with a friend of mine the other day, and the railroad track one was a legitimate thing. Where, as a child in the 80s, there were multiple, not just one, videos that we were shown in school exposing the dangers of just loafing around the railroad yard or hanging out on the tracks.
Oh yeah, they wanted to keep us. They wanted to keep us away.
Yeah, and
they wanted to keep us in the house.
Well, the funny thing is that despite seeing these horrific videos, me and my friends really loved hanging out on railroad tracks.
Oh, same here.
And
that was our expressway. You know, you get from town to town walking the tracks.
Exactly. You nailed
Yeah,
it. That's it.
yeah.
And we'd be so impressed with ourselves. We're like, we made it from Webster to
Hmm.
Oxford and did all these
Oh
things.
yeah, Oakdale to
Yeah,
Sayville. Yeah,
getting back was the tough part, but because you're so dehydrated because no one brought any water. Um,
yeah. We didn't carry water back
no,
then. We didn't need it.
no. And I actually remember walking into a restaurant one time, me and my friends, we had no money. And we sat down at the table, and the waitress is like, "Well, what can I get you?" And we're like, "We just need water, ma'am." We're like half past dead.
Get
Yeah.
out.
Um, but my point,
You have to give it out in Arizona,
what's
though.
that?
You have to give water in
Yeah,
Arizona.
I can
Yeah.
imagine. But
Hmm.
my point, I guess, is despite defying the man and choosing
Hmm.
traveling the railroad tracks as our primary form of entertainment,
Life of a hobo.
yes,
Hmm.
a hobo, there was not 1 minute that went by that I was not conscious of my foot placement as
Oh
I
yeah,
walk those tracks, because how many times did I see the video of the guy scrambling for his
get
shoe?
stuck. Yep.
Oh no, here comes the train, and next thing you know, he's pancaked.
Shoes are flying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Forget Flavor Town, it's Pancake City when you hang out on the
Hmm.
tracks. So, yeah. So basically, Chris is well established now. As
Hmm.
long as it says James Van Heist,
Hmm.
you be buying.
As long as it's somewhere comic tangential, yeah. I'm not gonna pick up Star Trek
No.
stuff. I
Okay, true, true. You just
don't care
mentioned
about
that. You like Star Trek.
that. Yeah.
Um, I will.
I've never. I wish I liked Star
Mm,
Trek because there's just so damn much of it.
yeah,
You know, it's like I remember when I was a kid and like Gunsmoke would be on all friggin' day. It's like I wish I liked this. I'd have something to do all
yeah,
day, but I could not care less.
yeah. Instead, you were watching Quincy or something, you know. Trapper John MD. That was a good one.
Steam Pipe
Well, I
Alley.
was gonna say Trapper John took up a lot of my youth.
I've never seen Trapper John.
Gonzo Gates is one of the better supporting characters in TV history.
I've never seen it.
Well, someone out
Was
there,
that a spin-off of MASH?
yeah. I don't
Okay.
believe it was the same actor though. It was a different actor playing Trapper. Yeah.
Really? Why bother? That dude was great.
What do you want me to tell you? Google it.
I want you to fix this.
Google that.
Okay, Trapper John
Yeah, I
MD.
believe the
Damn
actor
it.
was different. In Gonzo Gates, I was gonna say someone proved me wrong about him being a great supporting character. There's actually,
George Alonzo Gonzo Gates,
yes,
Gregory Harrison.
mm-hmm,
Yeah, it's a different dude. Why would
yeah,
you do
yeah.
that?
Um, there's a great episode where they have to treat bikers for anthrax because the
Hmm.
bikers decide to wear, I'm not sure if it was goat or something goat adjacent skins
Hmm.
as vests. Gonzo lived in the parking lot. He had a RV, so
Hmm.
he couldn't be pinned down. He was a free spirit.
Yeah,
So
a hobo.
we stop with the hobo talk. Hobos eat trash can nachos, all right?
And did they walk the
Hobos
tracks?
can't afford trash can nachos. That was a trick question.
It's true. I actually priced them because we do have a Guy Fieri restaurant here in Phoenix.
Okay.
The trash can nachos are twenty
It's
dollars.
good to know you were pricing it out.
I was priced. I wouldn't eat them, but I can't do hot cheeses and stuff like that unless it's a very particular kind. But I can't do nachos. They gross me
Okay.
out.
Well, maybe something else. Maybe you should just go there and finally put this to rest.
Okay.
Go to the Guy Fieri,
Yeah,
his
Eddie.
restaurant.
Hmm.
Bring your wife. Try to enjoy a meal. Report back to us
Hmm.
and let us know if your life has changed.
Maybe I'll come back a blonde.
Yeah, some tattoos. You can be wearing
Hmm.
Bam Bam
Hmm.
Bigelow's shirt there. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
Did Bam Bam Bigelow wear a shirt? I don't know.
Hmm.
Did I just think of his head tattoos when I think Bam Bam Bigelow?
Well, he also he had the flame like unitard or whatever he wore.
Yes, yes. What a wonderful piece of apparel. The
Mm-hmm,
unitard.
mm-hmm. You can fire him out of a cannon.
The unitard, yeah, I'm thinking was like reserved. That was, I wonder in wrestling circles if it was like
Mm-hmm.
shameful that you were the fat guy that had to wear a unitard. You know?
Maybe if you didn't start out as the fat guy.
Because think of the wrestlers, and I'm, of course, stuck in a certain era here, but you're talking Bam Bam Bigelow, whatever, Andre the Giant.
He had his singlet, yeah.
Yes, yes. You only need one strap.
The one strap.
Did George the Hammer Valentine ever wear?
George the Hammer Valentine. You're portmanteauing George Animal
George
Steel
Animal
and Greg
Steel.
the Hammer Valentine.
Greg.
No,
Greg the Hammer Valentine.
Greg the Hammer Valentine should have, but did not. And George Animal Steel had he was covered in body hair,
Yes.
so he had to show that
Yes,
off.
he was very woolly.
He was disgusting.
I saw Greg the Hammer Valentines in an Abdow's Big Boys.
Really?
I never told this story on air before. I must have told
Maybe you did?
Yeah. I'm sure I did. I won't subject you guys to it all over again, but I did. What I will say is he was definitely worse for the wear.
Yeah, and he was only 25 years old.
Yes, he was having a rough morning. The night before was none too kind to Greg. Say his name correct. Gregory the Hammer Valentine. Check his birth certificate. It says the Hammer right on there. You ever see the pictures they shared online of like Greg the Hammer Valentine? Who's he sitting with in the Lazy Boy?
Brutus
Brutus
Beefcake.
Beefcake. Drinking beers.
Yep. Beefcake's got his nipples pierced.
It's like the saddest
looks like
piece of Americana.
Looks like a microwaved hot dog.
It's the saddest piece of Americana. Norman Rockwell, look out. This is the pinnacle.
Wouldn't you love a velvet painting of that, though?
I would. I really would. I'm not joking. That I would proudly hang that in my home, much to my wife's dismay. Oh, God. But you know what? It would tie into my youth because I have seen him in person. So
there you go.
There I go. Indeed.
That would be. If we can get like all different kinds of comic artists to draw that picture. Like, can you imagine like the Rob Liefeld version of Greg Valentine and Brutus Beefcake sitting in the Lazy Boys?
Oh, God. That would be...
I'm sure Dan Mora could knock it out of the park.
Oh, Dan Mora, yeah. Are you kidding me? It'd be beautiful.
He'd kill it.
Yeah. Liefeld, though. Oh, mama.
Yeah, like I always said, if I ever struck it rich, I would commission Liefeld to do a huge mural of me, like on the back of a horse or something. Yeah. And I'd be carrying guns and all that kind of stuff, and I'd put it up.
You know what guns, laser cannons. I would love to have like an Al Milgrom version of that. That would be that would be wonderful.
We can get a Bill Sienkiewicz.
No, the Al Milgrom would be enough for me. I'd be so embarrassed.
The Don Heck. The George Tuska.
Yeah, that'd be a wee bit rough as well. So anyway, let's change gears here.
Okay.
Because much like Bada, our great friend and screen caller, or call screener rather, sorry Bada, Chris Yu is a valued member of this program. He always writes in every week to share his opinions. So why don't you cue up his email and see what he had to say this week? Does that sound like a plan, Stan?
I do. I guess so, yes. I guess today is the announcement of the Nintendo Switch 2, and it's very expensive.
How much is it?
Interesting. I just closed it. I think it's like up to almost $500. And the games are going to be $80?
I'm doomed.
Okay. I'm okay being a PlayStation guy.
My kid's going to want one, so.
Oh, I mean, every kid's going to want one, yeah. see here. Okay.
All right, you good to
Chris
go? Let's
U's
see what we got
email.
here from Mr. Chris U. Take it away, Chris S.
Regarding episode 31. Hello, the Bada Bin Show. Have you ever been sitting on a bench next to someone who's talking on their cell phone and you can clearly hear their side of the conversation, but barely make out the other side because of the ambient sound coming from the speaker pressed against the ear? That was what it was like listening to the first 6 minutes of the show this week. I know that Dave called it operator error, and took the blame, but I think it was a conscious effort on the part of Bada to help me with my new lip reading class. This is true. So thanks to Bada, I can use the practice. It turns out that Groupon I found was only good for one free lesson, which sucks. That amounted to, if you want to read lips, watch people's mouths when they move. Come back next week for lesson 2, only $25. Ooh. Yeah, I think that might be like a Marvel product. You know, it sounds like it.
How to lip read the Marvel way, or lip read.
How to rip off people.
There we go. Bada, Chris U just called you out. How does that make you feel? Oh no! Can't be saying that on air, you dirty, dirty robot, you.
Well, it wasn't a call out. He was saying that Bada was helping him with his lip reading abilities.
All right.
I mean, could be. I mean, he wants to decode the chili dog story.
Boy, don't we all?
Mm-hmm. We do. Now, let's Bada.
Okay.
When I saw the announcement that Fantastic Four was ending and relaunching, I knew immediately it was going to be a major point of discussion on the next Bada Bin show. It used to be that comics had creative teams that would last 30, 40, or even 50 issues, but now there aren't even volumes that go that long. I believe it's impossible for a single volume of modern comic to last as long as Chris Claremont's first X-Men run. Oh, absolutely. We'll never see anything like that again. What do you think?
No, not at all. That era is done. That whole.
I'm not sure we'll see a run as long as Chris Claremont's second X-Men run.
Yeah, you know.
And I think that only went like a year and a half.
It's weird because sometimes I feel like, all right, we complain that these runs are so short, yet, like Daredevil, you just saying it's like on part 18 of the story. We complain when things carry on too long.
But the thing with Daredevil is, I'm guessing when this story's over, the volume's over too.
Yes, I understand that.
Yeah.
But still, like, you got to find, for us in particular, that happy spot there. Because I think as a spectator to the Bada Bin show, you could be like, nothing makes these guys happy. Like, what do they want, man? Do they want continuity? Do they want longevity? Do they want this? Do they want, because they seem to complain about either which way. Well, we want the callback to our youth and what made us fall in love with comics in the first place. That's key. That's essential. That being said, forget about it. We're not going to get that.
No,
it's
never again.
Not happening. It's over.
No, because I'm guessing, and I can only guess, that this Daredevil run is probably not referencing much of what came before and will not be referenced in the future.
Yeah.
This isn't like... I remember there was a long Kurt Busiek story, the Kang story in his run on Avengers. It refused to end. But there were a lot of callbacks to his earlier run and runs before him, and there was also peppered in little bits of subplots that were going to be picked up later.
Yeah.
That was comics being told serially. That's not how it goes now.
Right.
So when we have these long runs, it's still a vacuum. And I don't know. That kind of stinks.
Hey, real quick, just on the FF thing. It kind of caught me off guard because I'm in the process right now of the previews where you pick what you want to, pre-order.
Sure.
They are soliciting issue 33 where FF ends and
number 1
same month.
They did that with Amazing Spider-Man too.
Really? I'm like, what are you guys doing to me here? I thought it'd be like the month after, it'd be a gap. So luckily, I read previews and I'm like, I better sub to that. I almost missed the boat.
No, they did the same thing with the Joe Kelly Amazing Spider-Man.
Okay.
The last issue and the first issue.
All right.
Same month. Chris continues. I would love to see the sales figures for individual monthly issues versus the collected editions. It seems to me like maybe they're making more money in the trades, so they have no reason to keep a series running longer than a year or two. Once the trades have been collected, trades don't really have numbers, only titles. Does the trade buyer care if the story originally ran in issues 1 through 6 or 23 through 29? They're only buying the one story contained in the trade. There's a point there for sure. But I was thinking about this during the week where, we talk about the ephemeral and the evergreen, right? We talk about how some stories stand the test of time, some don't, most don't. And then you think about how everything goes to the trade now. But, you think about those classic stories and even the ones they're not on that top shelf of the bookshelf, where Marvel or DC will put out like, this is Daredevil Born Again, the 2025 edition. Daredevil Born Again, the 2028 edition. Um, X-Men God Loves Man Kills, the 2025 edition. Batman Hush, the 2025 edition. Doom Patrol Volume 1, Crawling from the Wreckage, the 2025 edition. We don't really get those. Like, even though everything goes to trade, very, very few are going to stand the test of time. They're not going to be reprinted or called back to. I'm struggling to think of very many that have from recent times. And I was thinking about this largely because because the X-Men are in the middle of a crossover called X-Manhunt, which I haven't read, but I have read about it, and people don't seem to care for it very much. And I'm thinking, is there going to be an X-Manhunt 2028 edition, 2030 edition, 2035 edition? No. No. People are they're going to forget about it as soon as they put it back on the shelf or in the box or wherever they
Yeah.
put it.
I actually read the latest issue of X Factor.
Hmm.
I didn't have it prepared for this program, but it's the tie-in to that, where
Yeah,
it's hunting down Charles Xavier.
it's X Factor 300, right?
Yes, which is
Yeah.
actually fairly interesting in itself because it's a anniversary issue. It's a
Hmm.
regularly
Regularly
priced.
priced.
Thank you.
Yep.
Marbles in my mouth. So that's an anomaly in itself.
Yep.
That they didn't package it up and just throw some pin-ups in the back and go, now it's
That,
$8.
that kind of tells me that the book isn't going the way they thought it would.
Okay. Um,
Because I mean, the fact that they brought back the legacy numbering with a countdown to a round number
mhm.
tells me that they had. I mean, and I don't know, but it tells me that there were probably designs on doing something special,
Okay.
and no go. I think next month we have the 300th issue of X Force. I don't know if that's a tie into X Man Hunt. It wouldn't surprise me if it was. So that might be regularly priced as well.
I brought it up primarily because
Hmm.
not following the other X books, I didn't know exactly what was going on, but to
Hmm.
be brutally honest, it's pretty control copy paste. I was going to say
Hmm.
control C, control V because all right, Xavier's on the run and you have different factors, X factor. You have different, you know,
Factions.
thank you, factions of mutants. You really is stepping up here, helping me out with the
That's what
whole
I do.
language skills. Thank you. And I'm not being facetious. I need that. But anyway, this side is with Xavier and believe that he's this and this, and it's like we've seen this a lot, man. Like
We've done this
you
before
know,
many
it
times.
it doesn't scream fresh or original.
Mm-mm.
And I love Mark Russell, and this issue was very ho hum. It still had a couple of those little notes, those sprinklings, a seasoning
Hmm.
that I think makes Mark Russell special. But
Hmm.
it felt like, and we here's another thing. We've talked about this so much. It's painful. Like editorial is
Hmm.
making the writers, making the creators be or take part in of
Participate
this
in
event
a sham event.
with sham
Yeah,
event, right? This and it's just it
it's like Peter David in the Executioner
dude,
song.
it just oozes from the pores. Like
Yeah.
you feel bad
Oh yeah.
reading it, you know?
Yeah. I, there was a what was it like X Factor number 85 had zero X Factor members in it.
Oh, they're on strike.
that Peter David had to,
Yeah.
he had to write it was like a Bishop, Wolverine, and Cable story because it was chapter whatever of Executioner Song. I don't know. Anyway, back to Chris Yu. He says, so the comic companies give slabbers many new number ones with 31 different covers to buy, and the trade buyers don't care about the monthly issues and only buy trades. So the comic companies are making money coming and going. They pay the creators once and sell their stories twice. The modern comics business model, ladies and gentlemen. And yeah, I mean, the wheels on the bus go round and round, right?
Um,
And
I'm sorry. I'd be interested to
but
see what a creative person's contract would look like in regards,
with the secondary
yeah,
market,
or in regards to trades and reprinting the
yeah,
material later down the
repurposing.
road.
Yeah. I wonder if there is some sort of transformative clause in there or collected clause. Who knows? Who knows? I mean, we vacillate between filleting the companies for being these bastions or whatever to saying they're all evil. So who knows? It could be either. It could be both. I don't know.
Right.
Um, I do want. I would love to see some numbers on trade buyers. Like, are there people who have given up the monthlies and have just gone to trade? I'm sure they exist. I just don't know how quantifiable it is.
Interesting.
You know,
Right. You would
because
think
I
yes.
think we have here they pay the creators once and sell their stories twice. People buy them twice because I think we're such a closed circuit audience where it's like I think we're buying these stories twice. I'm not sure how many people are because trades are convenient, right?
Hmm.
Trades are damn expensive. Like we talked about the impulse buy of the Walmart $5 books, and it's like that's expensive for an impulse buy. You're gonna go into a Barnes and Noble and see a trade for $35?
Yeah.
No, like your kid liked Iron Man, and it's like here's an Iron Man trade. It's 34.99.
Right.
Mom ain't buying that.
Yeah.
You might get it for Christmas, but you'd rather a video game, so you're not getting it at all. So I think it's like it's us.
Oh yeah.
And we're buying it at like in stock trades or on Amazon when it's a big sale or my comic shop when there's here's the overstocks. I don't
Well, I
know.
mean, I if it's something I truly love, I will
Mhm.
pre-order a trade because I consider it bookshelf worthy.
Sure, sure, and you're getting it for 40% off or whatever.
Sometimes, not all the time, but yes.
Mm.
The most recent example was Traveling to Mars. Speaking of Mark
Hmm.
Russell, where that wasn't available via pre-order per my usual outlet. I
Okay.
did end up getting it at a slight discount because it was an expensive trade. But
Uh-huh.
there's a case of me buying something twice because I
Sure.
enjoyed it so much. I want it to be there
Hmm.
amongst other things I consider literary greats. You know what I mean?
Sure.
That being said, my bookshelves are also littered with meh. It was cheap.
Oh yeah.
I got it at Ollie's for
Sure.
$3. I got this on sale for $1.
Everybody has shelf filler. Everybody
Yeah.
has shelf filler. Yeah.
Um,
I mean, that's just part of the deal. And I'm sure when when a creative team sells a book for $3 at Ollie's, they're probably not making much on it.
they're making nothing on it.
Yeah.
Nothing.
They might have gotten something for the printing of it, but
Initially, right?
it's
Which,
it's not yeah, it's not a vote of confidence.
well, the Ollie's thing a few years ago made the
Mm.
rounds on the internet where people were
Oh yeah.
discussing just how Marvel, in particular, just printing trades, gangbusters,
Oh yeah.
trades that people
Hmm.
didn't want, nobody were requesting, overprinting them.
It's kind of like their movie model.
Well, that's the thing. You had warehouses full of these trades, so there were
Hmm.
Ollies were
Just get them
basically
gone.
pulling them out of the garbage
Yep.
for 10 cents a book and selling them rather for two
Sure.
ninety nine. You know,
Yeah.
and it was like, well, what's the
Yeah.
business model there? What are you doing? You know, and there was, as
Yeah.
far as I know, there was no resolution or final answer
There never will be.
Why Marvel decided to do that
Yeah.
as a company in particular. I mean, it was to fans' benefit, I suppose, who had ollies in their area that were pseudo
Sure.
organized, because that place can get real messy real fast. Luckily, at the time, I had a decent ollies in my neighborhood,
Hmm.
and it was cool to go down and be like, "Hey, this is normally a $30 trade. They have it here for
Yep.
$4.99." You
Yep.
know, I'll add the complete Deathlock to my collection. Why
Sure.
not? I mean, it's reprinting the '70s
Yeah.
material. I'm not familiar with
Hmm.
it. Expand my knowledge base a little
Maybe
bit.
I'll read it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's rainy
Yeah.
day for this price. You
Hmm.
can't go wrong. But
Exactly.
why did they print so many of them? Why did they do what they did? It's going to be up there with where does the universe end? The great
Yeah.
questions of the human race. Why do that?
Yeah. Is the wall still behind me if I'm not looking at it? Who
Yeah.
knows?
um, real quick though, just to
Yeah.
kind of, and I'm sorry for hijacking here,
No, 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 no.
expand on like trade reading. I think it's really interesting because, listen, you're a manga guy, right? Manga trades were initially the
Hmm.
model, right? The major
Hmm.
publishers saw that kids wanted manga, they wanted cheap books, they wanted, collections to binge
Sure.
read. That's all fine and dandy. But to relate it to other media forms, and citing in particular your John Cena spoiler, being a
Hmm.
trade reader, I can only naturally assume you'd have to be okay with that.
Oh, you'd have to make peace with
Yeah,
that, or you'd have to be off the internet.
right. You have to be
Yeah.
living underneath a rock somewhere. Otherwise,
Yeah.
spoilers are bound to happen.
You're done.
You
Yeah.
know?
I mean, because even me getting DCBS books a month late or at the end of the month or whatever the hell they come in, I've been spoiled on stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the one that, because I mean, this was even referenced in a comic. It was a issue of either Wolverine or Deadpool. Hashtag X-Men spoilers.
Oh,
It's a real goddamn hashtag that people use,
okay.
and they use it at 12:01 a.m. Wednesday morning.
Oof.
And they were building up. There was a Hellfire Gala before they totally bastardized it. They did one big story, and it was supposed to end with a death. And sure as hell, that thing was spoiled 12:01 a.m. Wednesday morning. And I was doing a show at the time based on those books, hoping not to be spoiled. But these jags who want the heart clicked on their Instagram and Twitter posts, they got to put it out there. So I mean, it's like I'm only a few weeks behind. People who wait for the trades are 6, 7 months behind. Who knows? Yeah, they got to just be okay with it.
Well, I think another point to be made
Or
is,
it's just us again buying it for the second
well,
time.
yes, yes, okay. As far as buying it for the first time, I understand the
Hmm.
economics of it. I really do, compared to getting the
Hmm.
single issues, especially if you can get it on Amazon for 15, 20% off.
Oh yeah.
But as far as spoilers go, it used to be those
Hmm.
douchebags who had to be first on
Oh
Twitter,
yeah.
social media.
Hmm.
Now that is the
The norm.
not only the norm, that is the comics media.
Yeah.
So whether it's CBR or, it's just the first one that pops into my head, Bleeding Cool, anybody,
Hmm.
like, it's clickbait. It's
Hmm.
gotcha. It's,
Yeah.
that's reporting, comic reporting now.
Oh yeah. Because there's no news anymore.
That's the spoiler. Like, they'll spoil, they'll do
Yeah.
this, they'll do that. It's just terrible. So
Oh yeah.
that's the new normal.
It sure is. And like I gotta wonder, like Chris, you says here, the trade waiters don't care if it came out in issue whatever to whatever or whatever to whatever. I wonder if they paid more attention, if they'd be like, wait a minute, this volume's over. Why am I buying this trade? They restarted it. Why am I buying
Mm.
this? How does that work? I don't know.
I don't know either, because as you mentioned, our motives are very different. I mean, there are times when I might buy something on a lark, One thing that pops immediately to mind was the Uncanny Spider-Man series.
Yes, you love that one.
Well, it started great, fell apart, worse than a chili dog falling out of someone's mouth.
Mm,
Not to say that
get the
happened,
napkins.
allegedly, just like you like to use.
Mm,
But there's a series, I missed the boat on it, but I'm like, hey, pre-orders, I can get the trade,
sure.
35% off, let me give it a shot. Or maybe there's a series I missed the first 12 issues on. I know that's becoming a
Hmm.
rarity now, but still, I want to catch up. I'm going to sub at issue
Well, that I mean,
13.
that's you could do that with image books for
Yeah.
sure.
Mm.
Like I know people who missed out on Walking Dead saga, and it's like, oh crap, there's 2 trades already. Get them, and then oh, I can follow from this point
Yes.
on.
That's
And I mean, those are. It's weird that like the indie punk rock company is the one that is like the most traditional.
you're right.
Like Kirkman didn't restart Walking Dead with a new #1 when the show came out.
You're right.
He could
You're
have. He
absolutely right.
probably should have, but didn't
No.
because people cared enough about it and they knew they could catch themselves up. Saga goes on hiatus every 6 to 8 issues, right? He doesn't start it with a new #1. It's not season 3, episode 1.
No.
It's issue 70 or whatever
Right.
it
He
is.
had set the end point of issue 108.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's still going
Yeah.
when it probably would behoove him, at least from the clickbait slabber perspective. It's like, oh, every year it's a new #1.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. It's just season 8 right
You're,
now.
you know what? I'm kind of shocked because
Hmm.
you hit me at my core here because you're so on point with the image
Hmm.
model
Yeah.
and how really they're doing it the right way all across the
I
board.
mean, we're gonna have Spawn 400 soon.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
They get it.
yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. Okay, back to Chris Yu. He says, when I saw the cover to
Your
Aquaman
turn.
#3, I know. It suckered me into reading it, even though I had said I was dropping it after issue 2.
Okay.
As someone who only read issue 1 and 2, based on the possible connection to the Absolute Universe mentioned in the trade press, I feel like the wording on the cover was a major bait and switch when compared to the story within.
Yes.
I will not be back for issue 4. So that's something that I actually didn't think about. I didn't think about how the comics press, because I don't really visit the comics press. Were they trying to spin this as an absolute tie-in because of the Omega thing?
Um, not to my
I could see
recollection.
that
I
being the
mean, maybe
bait.
they were. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yet again, I just
Because this cover had Aquaman's face with like a dark side thing, right?
correct.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
It even
I
said
haven't read
Dark
it.
Side on the top too. I can't.
I think you're right. I haven't read it yet. I have it downstairs, but I think
I
you're
know I
right.
have it over in the other corner there, but I'm too lazy to
Hmm.
go grab it.
Nah. But I think we're
Anyway,
both
all
right.
right. I'm sorry. I was looking for the image to see if I still had it here on the computer.
Hmm.
Totally get it. It was. He's 1,000% right. It was a bait and switch. The only reference to that is that like Omega sign portal,
Hmm.
size shaped rather.
The thing.
Right.
Yeah.
The thing.
Hmm.
So I can understand that, but in the spirit of always arguing with myself, we're talking about covers being bait and switch. I mean, we got many, many years of this. It seems like throughout comics history, that's what the cover is for, right? The cover is that
Hmm.
beautiful girl at the bar you
The
see
sensational. Yep.
from across the room. The next morning you wake up and you go, "Gah! What did I do last night, man?" You know, and it hurts. It's not fun. I get it.
Hmm.
You feel like they're teasing you and tempting you, promising a bill of goods that they don't deliver on.
Yeah.
But, and here's a hill I will absolutely die on. Chris, was that not the most beautiful rendition of a
Lighthouse.
lighthouse you have ever seen in the history of comics.
I did look at the lighthouse. I
You
liked
did, didn't you? You see?
Yeah.
It was beautiful. John Timms is something
Just
else.
the first page, yeah. Yeah.
It was gorgeous,
Yeah.
astonishing. I wish I could step into that comic and live in it.
There you go.
But yeah, I get it. I that being said, I can see a lot of reasons to leave the book. But I'm still sticking with it too. I mean, sticking with it. Period. Since he's left.
Yeah, I think
in conjunction.
I've still got it. I've still got it pre-ordered for the next few
Two
at
works.
least. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. Sorry, Chris. You.
Chris, you read Absolute Flash #1 and he liked
Okay.
it. It wasn't the greatest thing I ever read, but it was fun. But like the rest of the Absolute Universe books, I don't see how these series fit together with the rest of the Absolute line. None of them feel like they take place on the same Earth. I can't see how the pieces are supposed to fit together. I'm sure they haven't even thought about that yet.
Well,
They'll shoehorn it, but I'm sure.
You know, you've brought up in our private conversations, when are we going to get Justice League or Absolute Justice League?
Oh, soon. Yeah.
Of course, it's inevitable.
Yeah.
But much like Chris, you just noted, you don't feel the cohesion, especially with Flash, existing in the same universe as, for example, Batman
The
and
other
Superman.
three. Yeah.
Yeah, I can get that. But it is going to be, I don't know, that's a tough puzzle to put together, I think. Because they all do have their own individual identity, you know, as a
And
title.
it's another callback to the Ultimate line. You know, Ultimate Spider-Man and Ultimate X-Men were very different things, but they were supposed to be in the same place, and they did cross over eventually. So, Chris continues.
Okay.
Do you remember the "Just imagine Stan Lee creating" line from DC back in the early 2000s? Sure. The entire Absolute Universe feels like Just Imagine 2.0. Absolute is far better than anything from Just Imagine, but they both have the same bones at their core. I wish the Absolute books would have introduced new villains at the very least, instead of just reimagining every existing name. Word.
Yeah. And that's a good point, because I wonder if that's an option going forward. Because, all right, how are you going to get the comic book press talking about your series? Well, here's a new take on Captain Cold. Here's the version. I mean, most recently, it was newsworthy.
And here's all this.
Oh yeah, shut it off so I
here.
can sneeze.
Okay, so it started with Batman, and this was pretty terrible. We got Wonder Woman, that was pretty terrible. We got Superman, that was pretty terrible. Green Lantern was pretty terrible. Flash was pretty terrible. Then we brought them together for the JLA, which was also pretty terrible. Then we did season 2 with Robin, which was pretty terrible. Shazam, pretty terrible. Aquaman, pretty terrible. Catwoman, pretty terrible. Some good art in these things, but the stories, no. And then Sandman, and then we wrap it all up with Crisis. So yeah, not great. But Chris's point is well taken, because these books feel so disparate, and yet they're all supposed to be in the same gimmicky universe. So,
okay,
yeah,
thank you. I sneezed. Everything was.
Bless you.
Whew. Yes. Yeah. So it wasn't great.
No.
That's something everybody can get on board with. The Stan Lee thing was super gimmicky.
That's all it was, yeah. I mean, I'm glad that it happened, but it wasn't great.
Okay. But as far as the villains go and creating new villains, I think that's an interesting idea. Prior to my schnoz exploding. Now, again, I said my fingers were getting tired by saying press and news. I'm doing these bunny rabbits here.
Journalism.
It's Easter season. Look at me. Hello.
It is.
But Bane is making his appearance in absolute baddie, and apparently his creator, Grant,
Chuck Dixon.
no, Nolan,
Oh, Graham
Graham
Nolan.
Nolan, thank you,
Hmm.
does not like the look, and
Hmm.
it wasn't like this terrible comment he made or anything. He just said he wasn't vibing with it. He didn't think it was
Okay.
very good. That's all. But of course,
Hmm.
that
Got a dog
it
pile.
got legs, and people were running with it
Hmm.
everywhere. You know, Bane co-creator Graham Nolan hates this design and whatever.
Oh.
But that's what brings people in. Like, what is this alternate version of the Riddler? What is it? We're waiting on the Joker. What is Scott Snyder going to do with this? You know,
Hmm.
so I think for the person who reads comics for entertainment, truly, you know, emotionally, introducing someone new would be a fantastic idea. But just on the surface level of everything, with these books,
Hmm.
you have to keep putting a new spin on old characters.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I haven't seen the new Bane yet. Here, let's see here. Bane, absolute. Oh, there we go.
you
Pops right
type
up.
so loud.
It.
You click clack so loud.
Sorry. He he looks like Bane.
Okay,
I mean, have you seen
I
it?
have. I didn't see. I
It looks
wasn't
like
alarmed by
Bane.
it. His head looks very tiny.
It's tiny, tiny head, but I mean that's just Dragotta.
Yeah, he looks like there's a line, and I bitched about it with the Swamp Thing figure called Todd's
Hmm.
Mods.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
if you look at any of the other Todd's Mods, the thing about them is they have these tiny little heads and giant bodies.
Hmm.
It looks like a Todd's Mod, you know?
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, it doesn't look much different from. I mean, Bane. It's a jacked up dude in a lucha mask.
Yeah.
He looks like a jacked up dude in a lucha mask here. I don't know.
Again, much ado about nothing, right?
I mean, the Bane design isn't okay.
Yeah.
I mean, he's iconic just because he's old now.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, back to Chris Yu. He said, "Here's my idea for trying to attract new readers. Have a shipper like the one behind Dave, full of comics at the movie theater, ticket counter, or snack bar. Even if there was 50% shrinkage from people walking away with them without paying, at least they'd be walking away with them. Make the issues with inserts for a local comic shop to drive any potential readers to that location. Even if only 1% of the issues make a new reader go to the comic shop, that's better than nothing." And I would say if 1% of those issues would make a reader go to a comic shop, that's optimistic. I don't see, just like not getting mom to pay $35 for the trade at Barnes and Noble. I don't see people getting lifts to the comic store, but I don't know. And once they get there, they won't know what the hell
Yeah.
they're doing.
Um, the more I think about it,
Mm.
it's just a spaghetti against the wall problem.
Oh yeah, big time.
So you essentially need to have yet again these other forms of media, your
Hmm.
favorite, the movies, TV
Hmm.
shows, video games, in hope that 1 out of 100,000 decides to walk into a comic shop or buy a
Hmm.
book
Sure.
on Amazon or something.
Hmm.
But those are the kind of ratios, and I know it sounds alarming. Like Dave's being, you know, this is
Hyperbolic.
hyperbolic, but
Yeah.
I really think I'm more on the mark than not.
You might be optimistic.
As far as how many people venture into a comic shop genuinely for the reason of getting interested in comics because they played,
And come back.
yes, that as well,
Hmm.
the game or
No,
something.
I was thinking about this because there's one thing that I don't think anybody, regardless of age, any way you could break down a human being, we all want a good story. We all want good stories. We're never going to get tired of good stories. Nobody's going to say, "Oh man, there's too many damn good stories out there." Nobody's going to ever say that. But we talked about like how The comics are sending people to the movies, not vice versa. The comics themselves have changed in that the comics right now are influenced by the movies rather than being the influence for the movies. They used to be the movies were cribbing from comics. Now it's the comics are trying to be like the movies. But the movies are so shallow in comparison because you can't tell 80 years of stories in an hour and a half. So they have to pick and choose, which is understandable. But the comics are trying to be that rather than informing the next movie. Like we have this Summer of Superman coming up that's probably going to have bits and pieces of movie stuff in it instead of being the thing that'll be the next Superman movie.
Okay. Not being versed in the movies because you don't watch them, the series.
Mm-hmm.
Something that is fairly interesting to me is
Mm-hmm.
how, yes, they are using comics as a source material.
Mm-hmm.
But now, I think more so than ever, and we're talking probably over the last decade, how they Frankenstein material together. So,
Sure.
a couple case in points here. One would be Thor Ragnarok, which was a film that incorporated Ragnarok and Planet Hulk. You had just mentioned Daredevil Born Again, the
Mm-hmm.
2025
Yeah,
edition,
the new
new
printing. Yeah.
printing. Right now on Disney Plus, there's a series,
Mm-hmm.
Daredevil Born Again, which is
Mm-hmm.
taking some elements. It's more Mayor Fisk storyline, but
Mm-hmm.
they are taking bits and pieces and making their own monster. Hence my
Mm-hmm.
Frankenstein's monster
Sure.
analogy. So I'm just trying to think, like in the reverse, how the comics are trying to be more like the movies. Okay, we've talked before of the influence, for example, of the X-Men movie franchise had on the books 25
Mm-hmm.
years ago.
Yep.
Design wise, I mean, the hype was kind of awesome.
Yeah, they even changed the logo
Yeah, right. Um,
to that bland block, whatever the hell it was. It looked like it was steel or something. It was
yeah.
garbage.
And I think a lot of the things that we complain about, the 10 issue cancellations, are minis
Hmm.
really minis? Are they ongoing and things like that? I think that's a response, and a poor one, but still a response to people's attention spans, to,
Hmm.
yet again, spaghetti against the wall, seeing what sticks, but mostly trying to replicate any kind of similarity to what a
Hmm.
TV or movie would provide someone in the audience. You know what I mean?
And it goes to the the punk rock group being the most traditional with like I didn't watch Walking Dead. I didn't read Walking Dead, but I got to assume that they adapted Walking Dead into the show,
Okay.
like not the other way around. I don't watch Invisible. Invincible. I read a little bit of Invincible, but I got to
Uh-huh.
assume that they're doing that with
Uh-huh.
it. It just seems like they know that the source material is the ore. It's not refined. It's the ore. But if it's good, it's good. And then you can refine it into whatever the hell you want. And we're just not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
Now, the spaghetti analogy is very apt. And the Frankensteining I have no problem with because, like I said, you can't take 80 years of Superman and cram it into 88 minutes. You know, so you do what you can. You take the bits you want. You don't know if you're going to get a second shot at it, so you cram as much good into it as you can. That's fine. But I mean, how about we have someone writing the comic right now that could be the next movie
Yeah.
instead of here's this crappy major disaster story.
Yeah. I mean, I can see
You
that.
know?
It's just it's funny, when you bring up something like The Walking Dead or Invincible.
Hmm.
Invincible, I haven't read that either.
Hmm.
I've only seen a few episodes, but Walking Dead was early on an interesting experience for me as someone who had read the comic,
Hmm.
to see they tweaked and changed things in the show,
Hmm.
and to know that Kirkman was involved in that.
Yeah.
So for me, it was a la Choose Your Adventure or a Mulligan.
It was still pure. Yeah.
Well, even
There was
then,
still a purity
I
to it.
thought, here's the guy who wrote the comics, but now he's involved in the production of the TV show. He's like,
Yeah.
I was thinking, what if I didn't do that? What if I did this
Sure.
instead? Which is good and bad because in some ways, when you see a comic adaptation on screen, you want that replicated to a T. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's what I'm here to see. But this other side of the coin is like, well, is keep me on my toes since I already know what happened in the book. How do you find that balance? How do you keep everybody happy? You don't. I cited Preacher before, saying how
Sure.
I tried watching the show. I was disgusted. Like the first 10 minutes of that program, you're like, this isn't Preacher. What are you doing? Like, what was even the point of licensing this story if this is what you choose to do with it? But then, months later, I revisited with a different mindset and said, I'm not going to
Compare.
I'm just going to watch it for its own thing.
Yeah.
And I liked it for what it was, but it wasn't Preacher.
Sure.
So that's like an interesting, I don't know, like exercise.
No, I can compare it to The Last of Us on HBO.
Okay.
Because I mean, I played through The Last of Us 3 or 4 times, so I know all the bits, I know all the beats, and the story follows it mostly. There are a few changes that, like you said, keep you on your toes, but it's largely faithful. And I mean, it's a different thing altogether because it's a game and it's done. It's not a serialized thing that's going to keep going, at least not yet. So I don't know. It feels like we're chasing our tails. We're not we, because we're not part of it. But it's like we have a Daredevil and Wolverine comic right now that'll probably not last a year. Why?
You would say Daredevil or Deadpool?
I'm sorry, Deadpool. Sorry, Deadpool and Wolverine. And it's like, oh, that's because of the movie.
Yeah.
Nobody who watched that movie is buying that book.
Well, here's the thing.
How about you try to make something that'll be the next movie?
Okay, yeah, I understand. And I think my long ramblings here was like, I'm changing. I'm trying to adapt. I've said this so many freaking times. It's annoying. But here I am trying to enjoy comic-related stuff, and I have to change to dig it. Okay. Now, if you took a fan of, say, a movie, The Avengers, and you gave them an Avengers comic, the love affair isn't there, so they pick it up and go, this ain't the movie. Meh. Meh. So maybe that's why, in some degree, they want the comics to resemble the movies, because they think, even though it's not happening,
Of course. They never
they
will.
think they don't want the meh, and they're forgetting about little old me.
Yeah. And I mean, like I said, there's nobody on the planet who doesn't want a good story.
Yep.
And not because when those Avengers movies were coming out, like it's like we had all this multiverse crap. I mean, even longtime fans of Avengers were like, "What is this?" I couldn't imagine a movie fan coming in and being like, "Huh?" So like Odin is an Avenger from 5 million BC.
I'll tell you something.
Okay.
You're going to love this. Continuity matters more in the movies now than it does in the comics.
Well, I mean, yeah. But with the movies, they reboot too, right? I mean, how many times has he been bit by the damn spider?
Yes.
Right? How many times have the pearls hit Crime Alley?
I understand this, but once that's established, if you come... Okay, so prime example, since you just brought up Spider-Man, you had the original Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, then you had the Amazing Spider-Man films, and now you have the Marvel Studios Far From Home, etc., etc. Those, between 1 and 2 and 3 of that particular series, you must have continuity in the story. There
Sure,
is
sure.
no retconning. There is no reset.
That
There is
didn't
no
happen.
brand new
Yeah.
number one from movie to movie. Otherwise, fans will be
Sure.
outraged. The film fans, and they won't go see it.
Hmm.
And it,
The ones that matter. Yeah.
you said it, so I didn't have to. I'm just disposable income Dave who doesn't legitimately have disposable income. This is all a manifestation of my mind. My wallet
It's all
weeps.
fake.
Yet I spend it on all this stuff that surrounds me. And no one gives a frick.
It's true.
And Chris Yu
It is true.
continues.
No, he
Oh,
doesn't. I think that's where Chris Yu left off
okay.
here. He did indeed, yes.
He didn't say goodbye or anything. He just like dropped the
He might
mic.
have. I think I hung up on him. Let me.
Oh.
I'll pop back into the email. Let's see.
Okay.
See here. Ba, 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 ba. Ba, 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 ba. There we go. Got to open the right email box here.
You just closed it out. You said, screw it. We're on a tangent now.
Until next time, Chris Yu.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Chris
There
Yu.
he is.
Thank you. Bye-bye now. Okay.
Okay. It's
Wonderful.
weird. This email box still gets comps from people wanting reviews on the Cosmic Treadmill.
Oh, really?
Weird. Yeah.
Anything good? Is there a new series they want you to review that seems so intriguing you just...
I haven't even
Yeah.
looked. Yeah.
Okay.
Haven't even looked.
Hey. Doesn't matter what you do, spam is spam, brother.
Mhm.
You know, you get everybody, every Tom, Dick, and Harry. It's like the Bada Show inbox. We get Chris Yu, random comments here or there, but mostly it's I came across your show on YouTube, and I think we can get you more views.
Ooh.
Signed the same guy who writes for the Van Heist website.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Side note, I guess, since it seems like we're wrapping up soon, because my butt cheeks are hurting sitting in this chair. I
Cool.
have a new chair. I like it a lot. It's like I don't know if you can see. It's
Hey, look at
it's
that.
soft on my tush, but we do these marathon recording sessions. Today we're at 2 hours. I made a guilty purchase because I've had this weird love. Well, actually, it started hate, never love, liked. I'll tolerate it. I accept it. A couple of these I love, but anyway, affair with Funko Pops because
Is it the Guy Fieri one?
no, don't you dare will that into existence.
It exists.
Get out of here.
No, it exists.
Burn it with fire.
I don't think it'll burn.
Oh yeah, it will. It's plastic.
It's one of those that won't burn.
That sucker will melt.
It's made out of magic.
But some I like in particular because it's so hard to get any kind of, I don't know, articulation out of the face because they're all the same stupid bobblehead, blank black eyes or whatever. And this one has no articulation, so this is definitely cheapo deepo. But I still pre-ordered it just for nostalgia's sake. And as far as I know, there's never been a Jor-El Funko Pop from the Superman movie.
Oh.
So there we go. Let me go full screen because I do have my new camera here. Maybe give people...
Make it happen.
There we go. Make it happen, Captain. So there is the Jor-El Funko. There are more editions or characters available. But yeah. So this is my...
Good old Mr. Oz.
What's that?
Good old Mr. Oz.
Mr. Oz. What the hell are you talking about?
When they brought Jor-El back, post-rebirth.
Oh, Oz,
Mr. Oz.
the Oz effect. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
At first I'm like,
Feels like 100 years ago,
well,
huh?
no. At first I'm like, did Marlon Brando ever play the Wizard of Oz? I'm thinking
The Wizard.
Island of Dr. Moreau or something. And then, no, you brought it back to comics. Bless you.
I did.
But anyway.
That's all I know.
Yes. Oop, that was shiny. Does that show up fairly clearly? Can everybody see that?
Yeah, he looks like a Funko Pop.
Yeah, he does. There's not much going on there, but whatever. What are you going to do? I'm just trying to contribute to the show. Don't shoot the messenger,
There you go.
okay? I'm doing what I can here. I didn't really throw it. That was all make believe. Anyway, my son is texting me. He just went out for dinner with his friend.
Hey,
I don't know where they went, but it must be nice.
I believe it.
Wow, look at that. What do you got going?
They went to Guy Fieri's.
No. Oh, what do you have?
Got to smell his breath. There might be nacho on the breath.
All right. When you get home, I'm not looking for marijuana. I'm not looking for
Not
alcohol.
looking for weed. Not looking for alcohol.
Your breath smells.
You have trash can.
Trash can nachos. You're grounded. I learned it from watching you.
You're disowned.
Yeah. Pack your bags and get out.
Pack a bag.
What do you got cooking for the rest of the evening, my friend?
I don't know, man. Time is flying by like crazy.
Ooh.
I can't believe tomorrow's Thursday already.
What does this mean?
It's been. I don't know. Time doesn't have much meaning anymore since starting this gig. It's like I blink and it's Sunday night, and then I blink again and it's Friday night.
Yeah.
It's like the wildly overrated Severance show, where it's like I'm at work and then I'm not. It's very weird.
I haven't seen Severance.
The first season was great. Second season, no. It was as though someone typed David Lynch into AI and it spit that out. Yeah.
Have you talked to your better half at all about watching The Pit?
The
The
what?
Pit, the show I've been raving about for the last 3 months.
Have you?
Yeah. I talked about it like last week.
I have no memory of that.
Max, The Pit, Noah Wiley from ER.
The ER guy.
Yes,
You did talk about that. You did talk about
hello.
that. I forgot all about it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So no, I did not
All
mention
right. Well, I'm just saying, if you're feeling bad because Severance season 2 sucks eggs, you guys can try The Pit, and you might find some goodies in there.
it. Never know.
Yeah, I recommend that to everybody, not just you. And
Okay. Well, that makes it a little less special,
well, hey man,
but okay.
listen, I'm not alone, because now, much like your information is fed to you on your computer, my Google News feed is all, oh, The Pit, Season 2, greenlit it,
Oh.
Max, The Pit, Noah Wiley says this, The Pit. And it's like, oh.
I want to make sure that your feed is only comprised of random pictures of Jim Valentino from this point
Oh,
on.
boy, he farted.
I'm going to make that happen.
Jim Valentino farted. That is his legacy. Okay?
I saw that picture in The Wizard, and I was like, I got to send that to Dave right away.
Shadowhawk
Yeah.
be damned. Guardians of the Galaxy? What? No.
Did you read a certain Harley Quinn book this week?
I did not sub to that.
Okay, good. Okay, because you sent me a picture of it. I didn't know if
No.
you read it. Or
No,
not.
I found that online.
Okay, good.
Yeah, the Fartacular, which you were horrified by, rightly so. Now, the author, Joanne Starer, wrote Fire and Ice, Welcome to Smallville. And I loved that book. It was
There's a sequel,
there is,
right?
It's coming out.
Okay.
But the original miniseries, I was like, this is the reincarnation of Giffen DeMatteis, Tomato, whatever you want to say it. You say tomato, I say tomato, Justice League International. I love this book. I thought it was funny, smart. I mean, it checked all the boxes. So I follow her on Blue Sky, and she put a post saying that she's been getting a lot of flack from people that she says that haven't necessarily read the book, but is angry about the book because it's about flatulence. What say you?
I don't see.
Just kidding.
What week did that come out?
Last week maybe. I mean,
I want to see what Geek Dad thought about
please, let's check in with Geek Dad. There we go.
Yes.
He doesn't even know he's part of this show now.
It has a 4.3 overall.
Yeah, out of
Geek Dad gave it a 5.
Oh no. Are you serious? Geek Dad gives everybody.
A 9 and above.
Wow.
He gave it a 5.
Wait, is that the only 5 he has on this week's reviews?
I don't know. I can't click on. I'm not clicking on his link. I don't want to
Yeah,
give him a
don't do
view, but
that.
I. But yeah, the highest score is a 7 by. Have we ever figured out what AIPT is?
No. There's a
Okay.
song, and you know what? Your wife might like this song too. But
Mm-hmm.
my wife, there's some song by Bruno Mars and this female
Mm-hmm.
artist called APT.
Mm,
Ask your
don't
wife.
know.
She's probably going to go, yeah,
Okay,
yeah, I
she
love
might
that
know.
song.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, she might. That's an $8
is it an
book.
$8 book? Oh. Oh.
Wow.
And listen, honestly, I've come on the airways plenty of times saying I will try books by authors I like. Um,
Sure.
Interesting side note about that 1 second. But Harley Quinn, I
Mm.
can't do a Harley Quinn book. So I
Oh
knew
my
that was
God.
coming. The fart aspect didn't bother me. The Harley Quinn thing bugged me.
Did. That was the worst book. And Batman News gave it a
A
1.0.
1.0 out of 2?
I know, I think out of
Oh.
10. And then user reviews, whoa, 1, 2, 6.5.
I think, okay, I'm not going to say it. I'm not even going to say it. Because I'm wondering,
Oop, you froze up.
ooh, am I back?
You froze up
Oh
again.
no. Let's see. Am I back?
I'm not sure we're on the air anymore.
No, we're still on the air. We're still doing something. I see the circle moving.
Are we? I see a spinning thing.
Yeah, well, we had
Oh, there we
we
go. Now
had to
we're
go
back.
talk about the fartacular and the low
Oh,
reviews,
Lordy.
but
Insane, dude.
I don't know, man. I mean, I don't put a lot of, value in reviews anyway, but
No, no. I was just waiting for a certain reviewer to give it a
well,
9.
the fact that Geek Dad fillets
Give it a
every
5.
freaking book. Like
Mm-hmm.
it, the guy wants his comps worse than a hobo wants some bread.
Hobo.
Like he
Mm-hmm.
must have like the most callous kneecaps in the
Mm-hmm.
comics review
For
business
to get his
to
digital
get his digital
comps.
comps to
His watermarked digital
right to put
comps.
into his
Yeah.
fuzzy kitten folder. And he was like, "Nah, 5, 5." Jeez Louise, that is something else. But hey, you know what? I kind of want to read it now. I will.
Really?
Yeah. If every aggregate, every review site, everything is saying it's garbage, I I loved Fire and Ice. I'll read it and see if it's really that bad. I mean,
But will you pay $8
no.
for it?
And the page I sent you was not
Mm-hmm.
the best teaser either, but I did mention a side note incoming.
Yeah.
Right now, as of 6:14 p.m. Central Time on 4/2/2025, I have
Mm-hmm.
Crypto the Superdog #1 as part of my pre-order. I hate
Who wrote that?
Ryan North.
Okay, okay.
And I hate Crypto the Superdog. I can't stand super pets. I hate them. But as of right this minute, it's still part of my pre-order because it's a $2.59 book with a discount. All right.
Sucker.
Yeah. Well, hey, let me tell you, I do really poor mental math, and right now,
Okay.
my pre-order cart, I'm looking at the amount for the month, and I'm going, it's a little higher than I want it to be, but it's about the average of what it is. So what
Mm-hmm.
if I cut Crypto, I add this, I cut this other book I'm borderline about, add this, and maybe it'll all work out. But then I go, this book I'm contemplating adding is a Marvel book. Marvel's really hurting my feelings. Should I or shouldn't I? So I still got a couple weeks, but there's debate raging. So crypto's close to getting
getting greenlit or redlit.
Well, I was going to use much worse terminology.
It's going to get neutered.
Euthanized. I was going to send crypto to the pound, and nobody's coming to pick him up forever. But I hate super pets. But I made that oath on this very program. If Ryan North writes it, I'll at least check it out. So why not the same for Joanne Starer or Starer, however you pronounce it? You know? I don't know. Is that fair or not fair?
You, my friend.
Oh.
That's a road you walk alone.
Okay. Well, let me make an analogy you won't understand. I'm like Frodo with the Ring of Power about to make a trek to
Is he from
Mountain.
Is he from Humblepuff or Dumbledore?
No, that's the Harry Potter universe.
Hufflepuffs.
No. And I'm only familiar with it now because of my son. He likes the movies. But when those books were first coming out, I had the most flamboyant gay neighbor ever. When he was a Brazilian guy, and he loved that first book. And we'd be like, hey, man. He'd be like sitting on his porch. This is, 20 years ago, more?
At least.
And, hey, man, what you doing? You just chilling out, you know? Oh, yeah, I'm reading a book, man. What is it? Harry Potter. Oh, I love the Harry Potter. I'm a wizard. And we go, yes, you are. Yes, you are. Casting your spells across the land. You're a wizard, baby. So that's my long-lasting impression of Howard Potter is a very gay Brazilian man yelling from his porch that he's a wizard. For what it's worth. I guess there's worse memories to have about a franchise.
I guess so.
Than that. You know what I mean? So,
can't ask for much more.
Yeah. Who knows? I might read Fartacular, whip open my patio door like the Titanic, just go out and just yell, I'm a wizard.
You're a Valentino.
I'm a Valentino. I farted. He's got that dirty farter face all the time. I know that Fartacular book should have starred Jim Valentino. Right? They get the wrong character in that. They really do, man.
They did.
And you wouldn't even need an artist. You just need photos.
The Fumetti.
Fumetti. Fartacular of Jim Valentino. And thank you to Wizard. You see, case in point. I went from Harry Potter, from I'm a Wizard,
to
Wizard magazine, permanently etching in my brain that Jim Valentino is the dude in every photo who ripped a fart. You know what I mean? He's got that guilty, dirty, I farted face.
Dirty.
He does. Jim Valentino, man, you could dress him up in a freaking 3-piece suit. He still looks like the dude who just lit up the corner of a room with some gassy emissions. And he just was like, walked away, crop dusted, turned around, was like, yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. So Jim Valentino, Fartacular. Here we go.
He'll be our next caller.
Yeah, he will. Oh, boy. We're like, hello? Hello? Is this Jim Valentino on the line? Jim, is that you? I have a follow-up question, Jim. Oh, he did it again. Oh, he just napalmed us and walked away. That's what he did. So, yeah. All right. So, anything else?
On that note,
you want to add?
No, I think I'm about spent.
Okay, very good. We will try again next week. We'll, reinvigorate. Hopefully, I'll be healthy.
Yeah. This is true.
Fingers crossed, because last few weeks, man, I've been getting these bouts. It's been the last couple months, rather. It's just getting old. It's a bitch. I want to thank everybody for taking the time to tune in today. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Virtual hugs for all of you.
All around.
All around. Chris, always a pleasure talking comics with you, my friend. Good times.
Back at
few
you.
laughs. A little buffering, but we survived. On that note, I got to say adios. Chris, you want to add anything? Or just wave?
Nope. See ya.
Okay, bye-bye. Auf Wiedersehen.